from where we sit is gorgeous, even if we don't fit inside your little portrait. The big picture is enormous, so we don't even have to fit. We after it, true purpose, yeah, we have to get. We mastered it, reporting it live from Black Pew, discussing politics, the culture, and laughing at you. Cause you don't understand the viewpoint, don't mean you up by a few points. You just ain't hip to these new joints we on. The world says to follow they pitch, we set the tone, then we knock it over the fence. Oh yes, it's gone. Them haters screaming loud from the bench. They get the bat and try to copy technique, but they miss the point that I mentioned earlier. I see that you observing the way I strangle this beat. Oh yeah, I'm a murderer. Enough of me, let's get back to this gorgeous view. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome to the Black Pew.
Had a bidet, and I thought everyone had a bidet. Oh my God. I thought everyone had it in their house.
Until she came here and found out.
Americans don't have bidets.
He do one syrup, the whole syrup, and nothing but the syrup. You feel me?
So help him God.
Yes.
What, just maple?
Huh?
You haven't tried the pecan?
I don't do those other ones. Those
That
are
one's
nasty.
good.
They're
Pecan
nasty.
syrup is delicious.
They are deliciously nasty.
I think the
Not
blueberry
deliciously
is too
nasty.
sweet.
We don't do that.
Check this out. The only flavor he needs with his syrup is pancake or waffle. That's it.
I think he's the one that said that waffles are trash.
Well, no, waffles are good.
When you put a whole
without.
thing of Aunt Jemima's on it.
Omelets are trash, though.
Oh,
I love a good omelet.
Yeah, because you can't
He
soak
doesn't
them.
like
You
no
can't soak them in
pasta.
syrup. That's
He
why.
doesn't like no omelets.
Not if you get some good cheese in there.
No,
Like
if you
his-
can't put
right.
ranch on it or soak it in syrup, it's not good to drink. Okay.
I don't even know. I want to know what his meals are that you eat.
Chicken fingers, hot pockets, pizza
No,
rolls.
I actually don't like Hot Pockets.
what?
I never liked Hot Pockets. Never ate a Hot
Hot
Pocket.
Pocket saved my life
I've
in
had
college,
two
yo.
Hot
It was cheap.
Pockets since
It
7th
was
grade.
Here for it.
Where was I at? I was
I
somewhere.
had 2 hot pockets in 7th grade.
He's counted it.
7th grade was the last time
and
I
Pop-Tarts.
ate a
That's
Hot
good.
Pocket.
What flavor was it?
and ramen.
It was just a regular. It was just a regular, and my mom would buy that regular and the ham and cheese.
What is a regular?
A regular-
Ham and cheese?
No, the regular and the ham and cheese.
What's the regular cheese?
The
Just the
pepperoni.
cheese. Yeah, pepperoni, yeah.
Okay.
My mom would buy that, and she would also buy.
Black
She
people.
you must have started your snacking at a young
Regular.
age
What's
because you're a
regular?
snacker.
She would buy. That's the last time I ate spaghetti too.
What? I love spaghetti.
7th grade was the last time I ate spaghetti.
You don't like
You know
spaghetti?
what?
He
It is
doesn't like
nasty.
any
You know
pasta.
what? Check this out. Check this out.
No
No,
pasta
all right.
at all.
He needs
Time out.
therapy.
Hold
He
on.
needs therapy.
Hold
when it
He
comes
needs
to
food therapy.
He needs food therapy. He's had a
Is it just
traumatized past
spaghetti?
when it
Is
comes
it
to food.
spaghetti or all pasta?
All pasta.
No,
It's
He
like,
doesn't like any
it's
pasta.
like 99%.
And if he likes pasta, he likes the box
So check
macaroni
this out.
and cheese.
So check this out. What we have
Yeah.
just found out. We've
You
just
don't
found
like
out that
lasagna
he has
either?
had a trauma
Alfredo?
when it comes to food from
I
his
can't do Alfredo.
childhood.
I love
And
that
so
makes
he
sense.
only eats Kraft macaroni and cheese out the box because
No.
it's comfort food.
He's
Right.
like,
And
who
chicken
bakes their
fingers
macaroni and cheese?
chicken
That's what
fingers
he
and
said.
Eggo
I'm like,
waffles
that's how it's
and-
supposed to be
and
made.
cereal and
What
stuff.
are you talking about? You're learning
He still
wrong.
eats Crunching Munch. That's old people
And his
like.
mom disagrees with everything he says, by the
Look at
way.
that, Trey. What you doing?
What? Are you serious? You just gonna come for me?
Listen.
You
All I
said it
know,
yourself.
Some people cook their pasta way too long and it's
You be
mushy.
coming for yourself,
I
though, with the
understand- I
food.
understand-
Thank you for
I
tuning in
understand
to the
people not
Black,
liking
Black
pasta
Pew
because of that.
podcast.
Oh, my
These
bad.
black
Sorry.
people are trying to go against a black person.
We here.
Bunch of blackness going on in here.
Black on black crime?
Yeah, black on black crime
Versus food.
versus food. But yeah,
Like-
pasta's nasty. I only do lasagna.
Lasagna?
Lasagna.
Ignorant, y'all.
That's
Don't be
yes, he's hella ignorant
And
lasagna.
I'll do macaroni.
my God.
I'll do
No.
macaroni and cheese, but I won't do like the baked. You know how they do the baked
Yeah.
where it's like super baked, like you could throw it at
What is
somebody
super baked?
like
So
the
hold on,
corn-
Did you just hear him? That you could throw it at somebody?
the macaroni and cheese that people bake and it looks like cornbread.
Oh my
When
lord.
the one that you,
No, that's fire. That's when you know the macaroni's fire.
Yeah, you mean you can
That's
cut
when
a
you
slice
throw it
out
in the
of
fire.
that one?
No.
that's
Oh,
when you
no,
throw
no.
it in the
Mm.
fire.
We're
my
going to lose
point.
subscribers. Come on.
Yeah,
Oh,
What's
come
the
on,
first?
no,
What's the first?
no,
So we're going to
no.
lose subscribers.
No.
What's your
Yeah.
bad diet choices? What's the first topic?
It's the first
Uncle
time.
Rex.
We're gonna lose subscribers
Yes,
with
don't
this
be
talk.
don't be disparaging the mac and cheese.
Yeah,
Right.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, no. we got a couple brothers recording us while we're
So don't be alarmed
here.
if they just walk through.
Yeah, and don't be alarmed. Also, don't be alarmed if police come in and get y'all because y'all been hating on my food.
They're only gonna arrest you, fool.
Yeah.
Talking about boxed
The
macaroni and
egregious,
cheese.
When he come
No,
in and hear
absolutely
you
not.
say spaghetti is trash, they will be like, you know what, sir?
It is.
That
Black
deserves a
people-
life sentence.
And black people try to put spaghetti with everything.
Everything.
Like,
And
it does not go with everything. It goes in the trash.
Not in the trash.
don't
You're
do
supposed
that.
to cook
Don't-
it. You're
when,
supposed to cook
when
it
you
and-
said the everything too, you kind of solidified what you saying.
You
Like,
put it with bread. You can have it with chicken.
but
you
it's a
mix
good.
it up.
Okay,
no,
no,
but see,
I-
your
no, you
everything
can't
is a
do
good
that.
everything.
I
You can
agree.
fry
It doesn't
chicken
go
and
with
eat-
everything.
Not
Your-
everything.
Fried
no, your
chicken
good.
with
But
spaghetti?
it's good. It's
Yeah,
not
you
trash.
No, but your
gotta
everything
remove
was a
all
good
that sauce,
everything.
Okay.
It's a,
Y'all good at this?
No, when she said everything, it was a
Everything.
good thing. It was
Yeah,
when she was saying that everything was a good thing. He was saying it in a bad way.
Wait, yeah.
So when you say everything synced in,
I'm
it
sorry,
sounds like you
spaghetti
almost agree
cannot
with
go
him, but I
with
know
everything.
you
it
don't.
doesn't go with anything.
It
I had
doesn't
to-
go with
I had to
everything.
make
He's
sure
not
that
throwing the
people
trash
knew that
out.
you
Then
didn't
we're
agree
trying
with
to
him.
No,
separate
Separate
the
the
two.
two.
it
Yeah.
literally like you separate it on the table. You keep separating until it falls in the trash.
Wow.
That's why Trey's never
Oh, Lord.
Trey's never invited to barbecues
Ever.
because they can't feed him.
that is-
No.
No, he's not wrong.
It's worse than the vegans.
Because
They can't feed him.
People literally be like, I don't want to invite you.
No.
Because we got to make a special dish for
Because
you.
you're gonna make somebody mad.
Yeah.
Because I won't do. I
No,
don't,
I will invite you and put a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese in front of you.
Some
He'll walk
cereal.
up and be like, greens
go
are
make it
trash.
yourself.
No.
These ribs are
No.
trash.
No.
That macaroni's trash. Where's your chicken fingers at? Here's some ranch.
no,
Where's all the maple syrup?
No, I like greens.
That's funny.
I like I like greens. I like ribs. I put my ribs a little bit of ranch.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Lord. Here
You
we
guys
go
should
with
see
the
his
ranch.
face right now. He's big smiles.
Oh my
A
God.
little bit of ranch. Not all the time. Like
That's
if they,
disrespectful.
if they have a lot of
It's
barbecue
super
sauce, that's something.
disrespectful.
That's why I don't get invited.
Yes,
people
because
be like,
if I grill some ribs and I seen you dip it in some ranch, I'm throwing some ribs at you.
You just said throwing. I said no. It's worse than the vegans. You know how when you have to be real particular when you invite vegans over.
No,
for
yeah,
barbecue,
I ain't-
because
you just
have
can't come to eat where I'm
right
at.
because you have to roast the vegetables and do something different. It's worse than that. I don't even invite you.
No, see, I have a
I'm
thing about that.
disrespectful.
Because
I'll go
when
outside.
you invite a vegan over, you gotta make
have to be
sure
prepared
No.
you have to
Yeah.
make sure they have a vegan meal. But
Right.
if
Nope.
a vegan invite me over to their house, they're not giving me no
Nope.
steak.
I'm
No,
disrespectful.
that's
If you
hilarious.
come
They're
on
not
my
making me a
house, you
steak?
vegan,
No,
I'll go
they're
outside,
not.
cut a branch off a tree, put it on your plate. That's what you gonna eat
I
tonight.
eat-
You
Oh
feel
my
I
me?
eat
God.
around. I eat around what people make. So if you know me,
He said he eats around.
yeah. So if you're like, oh, like.
So
if
he
I
tries
was-
to pretend that he plays nice. Is what he said.
Oh.
Yeah,
So you
if
pick
I,
at your
if I was
plate.
dating
That's it.
somebody and they were like, "Well, we're having pasta. Or I'm making spaghetti or whatever. I'm having this." I'm like, "Okay, I'll eat the sides, but I'll bring a main."
Oh wow.
I'll eat before he gets
And
there.
they understand. A lot of them understand.
Wait,
'Cause
but
we know
wait.
you.
First
Yeah,
of
we
all,
know.
here's-
I'll eat before I
no,
come.
wait,
I'm
wait
not
a
gonna
minute.
bring
If you're
food to
dating
my-
somebody and they invite you to dinner, they should make something that you can eat.
No,
right?
Right, they'll
most
know
of them
that
do.
No,
at
some
the
people.
time. Yeah.
All right, come on, because I was watching 90 Day Fiance the other day, right?
Oh Lord, don't talk about that show.
and they somebody made some pasta on there that was not edible, and so I don't think
Was that
that
90
everybody
Day?
Well,
makes
you
edible
don't
stuff.
always eat
I don't
everything
think
that
makes
everybody
edible
cooks
stuff.
either. You
Yeah,
just-
no,
Everybody
you
don't make
can't
edible
everybody
Yeah.
do
stuff.
everything.
I don't trust everybody's cooking.
You just
Was
don't
that
go to
night?
cookouts and eat everything. You
Yeah, no, you
need to
can't
make
do
sure
Was
that what they
90
eat is
Day
edible.
Fiancé, or was that Love at First Sight?
It was 90 Day Fiance.
Oh, okay, because I know on Love
No,
at First
because
Sight.
so the one I'm watching, like the parents was like, "Oh, you guys gotta have like chores and all this type of stuff."
Okay.
And so like we expect you guys to cook like twice a week or something like that. But the chick, she's from like somewhere else. She don't know how to cook. She
Oh,
have a
is
bougie
she
and
from like
shit
a
like that.
Russia somewhere?
I don't know. She's from
forgot.
somewhere. She don't know how to
Is
cook.
that the guy with all the tattoos on his
Nah,
neck?
I don't know. I don't really know.
He only knew about the pasta.
I don't even know.
That's it.
He's some light skinned dude. He like country Cisco or
Oh,
something like that. He got like
that's
he got like bright hair, but he like country.
Yeah, don't be
singer
trying to
or
talk about the light skin again.
something. No, he's like
That wasn't a dig this time.
Whatever.
Right,
But-
not today.
But they went and got like some frozen like pasta. They tried to make it. It was trash, and they were like the mom was even like, "Oh, this is horrible." Like you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't even mad. I ain't mad at her, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not finna eat everybody's stuff. If you tell me you can't cook, I'm
Right.
not finna eat your food.
Yeah.
I'm about to get my own.
Not
I'm
everybody's mac and cheese. Not everybody's
No,
potato salad. Not everybody's greens.
I went to a church
Not
barbecue
doing it.
one time.
Greens
and
are-
I went to a church
Not
barbecue
everybody
one time,
would
and they
make-
seen
not
the
everybody
macaroni and
makes
cheese. They
good
said,
greens.
"Whose is this?"
They make 'em
And they
mushy.
told
Yeah.
them whose it was. It's like, I ain't touching that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
Yes.
I was like, oh, they ain't playing a church barbecue.
Yes.
You feel me?
But you really
I mean,
don't
they
even
do that
have to
like
do that when you go to a
Chick-fil-A, you feel me?
cookout. You should usually know who cooked
Who cooked
what.
what.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I
And
usually
so you're
just,
like, ugh.
I will eat.
Everything.
No.
Besides pasta.
I don't do like. That's saying like, I went over to my barbecue, and they had a lot of food, which is good. But then there was like, you got to get some of the grandma's potato salad, and I was like,
I don't even like potato salad.
I was like, I'll just leave now because I'm not eating.
You don't like
I don't.
salad.
I'll just leave now. I'll walk myself out.
I won't eat out of respect. I don't eat out of respect.
Gotcha.
So if you make it and I don't like it, I'm
Bye.
not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna.
Bye.
I'm not. My mom, everybody thinks my mom was like, "Oh, you were such a picky kid." It wasn't that I was a picky kid. My mom.
That's what your mom said. Then you're a picky kid.
No, because there was. She's not a picky kid, but my brothers and sisters, they just ate. They ate a lot of stuff.
And you were like, I want chicken nuggets from McDonald's.
But I would eat I would eat the sides or whatever else. I wouldn't like make her make me something different.
So you
I
just
can make
eat around
combinations.
whatever.
Yeah, I eat around.
You
Yeah,
play nice.
I
So
mean,
you
I'll be nice. But if you make something I don't like, I would tell you I don't like it. And
But see,
I'm
like I was like
I
that.
hope you
I was
never
like
go to
that,
jail.
But I was different.
I hope you never go to jail.
That's hilarious.
I really hope you never
That's
go to
gonna-
jail.
Oh no!
You
No!
will
They would
literally-
love you in jail. I'm gonna tell you right now, from somebody who's been there, they would love you in jail. Because guess what? You're gonna eat around all that stuff. They're gonna get extras. Somebody's gonna get cool with
Oh,
you. They
yeah.
know you're not gonna eat that. They're gonna get your seconds. And so no, for
Right,
real.
but then
Your
you're gonna
cornbread.
starve.
No, I'm like, they might-
No,
they
you're
might-
not.
gonna
They
eat your
might-
cornbread?
No. Somebody gonna be like, I'll plug you with a couple soups or something like that.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo.
They can be like, you
Give
gonna
me
eat your cornbread?
seconds.
Like, actually, I
Oh,
wasn't.
no,
So
you
actually,
got
you can have it.
Man, y'all know what I'm talking about. Please, bro. You'll be good. You feel me? You'll be good.
But I won't
Somebody
have
will
no-
He's
be.
gonna
Yeah,
starve.
they'll protect you and
I won't
everything.
have
They'll be
no-
like, nah, he give me his seconds.
They don't-
Don't worry about it.
Whoa, you cutting off the extra food.
I just
Nah,
need
that's
somebody
precious.
on the outside to send me some ranch.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
nobody's gonna be. They don't be selling
The
ranch.
most
up in there.
precious thing in jail is extra portions of food and cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? No,
And
for real.
contraband.
Those are hard things to come across. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they.
What is that Crunchy Munch? Is that almond ones?
No, it's the regular one.
Oh,
It's
Well,
good. It's good. But we can get to these topics. First topic on the docket is I switched the
You
order
know
up.
what? We can talk about Roe v. Wade since we got them.
That was what I was gonna say. We could talk about.
Pause. We did that last week. We're doing it again. We're running.
We're
it.
missing a person.
We're missing.
And
two
we're
people.
missing
She
two
wasn't
people.
here.
That's it.
It was just
Listen,
me
light
last
skin
week.
and
So go
dark skin,
ahead.
you
I
feel
said
me?
we were talking about Roe v. Wade,
okay.
and with you guys, I wanted to bring it up because we're missing.
Because y'all left me.
We're
And
missing.
they outnumbered me.
Sorry.
And
We're
Cameron was here too.
Yeah,
and
we're-
so it was
Oh,
all
really?
Listen,
I missed it.
so
No,
y'all
I was
decided to
pro-woman.
outnumber me.
I was pro woman.
It was.
was-
Marvin
right, no,
says
actually, women are
that
good, but
men
still.
should not be able to create laws that affect women's
the point, I
bodies
was
Yeah,
because
outnumbered.
we
the
do not
conversation
have
was-
women's bodies.
It was a different angle. Like in this discussion, there's like four parts. So I would say there's the woman's rights part of the issue.
Right.
There's the health part of the issue.
Right.
There's the I want to say there's the law part of the issue,
Which is the biggest part of it.
which is the biggest. That's what we're dealing with right now. And then there is the interpersonal part of the issue, and that's what they were more focusing on. I mean, that's the
Interpersonal?
thing. They weren't focused, but it.
Did you mean interpersonal?
Well, I think
Did
that.
I say what I say?
You said
said
international.
No, he said interpersonal.
No, interpersonal.
And I'm trying to
Interpersonal,
figure
so-
out-
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
I was
like,
gonna say, I need you to explain that. What
like
you mean?
between
Yeah.
like the relationship between the man and the woman
Exactly.
and how they deal before, during, and after. We talked more about like the after part
Yeah.
of the
Gotcha.
interpersonal part of the interpersonal.
There's so many facets of it.
Yeah,
but
there's-
but the law is the biggest part of it. And like I said last time, I just think that it gets caught up. People get caught up with the story of how it started, how it even became a law, and that story. And sometimes when stakes are high, you do some things, and they made some mistakes, trying to push the narrative, of for women. I'm not saying that the cause wasn't great, like the cause is good, you know what I'm saying, and what you're fighting for, I feel like women should always have the choice of what goes on with their body, because at the end of the day, men, we still get a choice on what goes on with our body. If we want to stop having kids, we can snip it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If we want to, like all those type of things, you feel sick, whatever, you want to cut something off, you want to add something, I mean, nowadays, if you want to become a woman and start competing in the Olympics and swim and shit like that. You can do that. I mean, that's what it is. It's the reality of it. And so we
and
set
this is
laws.
why we appreciate your brain, Marv. I don't think we've agreed on a topic for many moons.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
But we
is,
agree. Yes, I agree.
in
completely.
reality, like men from beginning of time, we've been able to dictate what we do with our own body, and now when it comes to a woman being able to do what she wants with her own body, we have a say so. The only reason why a man does have feel like he has a say so is because the passage of a woman's body is the passage of legacy, and so what happens through that. It's the true men lives through the vehicle of woman, and so if she has babies, the babies eventually either produce another man to the legacy, or produces a woman that eventually produces another man to the legacy, and so that's why they feel like they should have control over it, is because it is the vehicle to their overall legacy. But I think that when we think of it overall, like a woman that produces a happy child, a happy woman that produces a happy child is better off for your legacy instead of broken women who eventually produce broken children, which leads to a broken legacy.
Good way of putting that.
Well, he said the C word, which is control. That's what it's about. It's about control. And the whole
What?
What's
I'm
happening?
lost too.
What's
Go ahead.
happening? Okay, so
What are you doing, Marv?
okay, so shoot, now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Control.
Okay, control. It's it's about control, and I really and truly don't believe that men should have a say as to what women do with their bodies. My thing is this: we have a situation where they're making it about if it's murder, life, death, all this types of stuff. And the fact of the matter is, I'm going to come scientifically here. Abortion happens in nature. It's a natural thing. Okay? When you have a miscarriage, it's called a spontaneous abortion. Okay? When some women, their bodies attack the fetus and it expels it from the body. Okay? That's why a lot of people, they don't tell people they're pregnant until after their first trimester because
And doctors encourage
it's
it.
so
They encourage you to wait.
so finicky for the fetus to develop into a kid, basically. So now when they're talking about it, it's murder. That's such a really crazy slippery slope, because what about all these women who have miscarriages? What about all these people who bodies basically attack the fetus? So my thing is this: if you're going scientific, you better go scientific. But it's not about the science here. It's about control. It's about white men controlling women's bodies,
Or just being able to have a say over us,
right.
period.
And that's where I have a problem. And then you have women voting against their own better judgment, their own against their own better cause, because you feel that your religion allows you the right to tell other people what to do with their bodies. This is about the evangelicals and Christians and all of them pushing this narrative that abortion is a sin and it's against God and all this types of stuff. No, it's not. And that's my thing. They want to correlate it to murder, and it's not. It's a bunch of cells, and people can attack me if they want. Okay, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of cells. And my thing is this: if you're saying that it's murder, then I believe that child support needs to start at the time of conception.
That's a
Right.
Okay,
No, true
because if it's a life, then you need to start paying child support
The
as
moment
soon
y'all
as
find out
that
you're pregnant.
stick turns whatever color it is
Yeah.
or whatever.
That's
okay.
what. Okay.
Oh,
hold on.
What he say? He said-
No,
Time out.
Hold up.
Can
Hold
I
up.
finish?
No.
Can I? Wait a minute.
I said we
Hold
can't
on.
tell you.
Hold
I said
on.
we can't tell
Wait,
you what. I said we
wait.
can't tell you what to do with your body, but you can't tell me what to do with my funds like that.
Don't tell them what to do with it.
Those are still my
But
funds.
no, but Marv, honestly, if
Okay.
you're gonna treat this like a bunch of cells as a human being, then that bunch of cells need to have a social security number.
And
They
technically,
need to be able.
if you go get
Yep.
WIC, we paying for that.
Okay, yes, But what I'm saying
That's
is,
taxpayers.
if you're gonna
Yes.
do,
Yes,
if you're
but-
gonna
If you
say,
take taxpayers' money, the father is if they get
that is
that
true.
number.
Yes.
So we are paying
Right.
for that. From the,
Okay.
okay.
But what I'm saying is,
Okay.
your fetus should have a social security number.
Get with it.
Your fetus should have a pre-birth birth paper. All of these things need to
Yeah.
happen. If you're telling me
true.
that this is a life, then
Then let it be a life.
let it be a life. The mother should be able to get all the benefits,
Of the life.
okay, of the life that's growing within her. That's
No,
why I said.
but all right,
wait,
but then
hold
the
up.
babies become transgender
Huh?
What?
because then you can't tell the sex of the baby.
Of course you can.
And so
that's
then
the point. And wait, hold
you
up,
can't tell
hold
the sex
up,
of the baby.
hold
So
up.
now you have papers. You have papers.
Yeah, when
on
you're
this.
20 weeks, you can
Yes,
find out
but
the
what I'm
gender.
saying is,
And
but-
that's
but-
the
haven't
and
started,
that's
I
the
think, at like
problem,
14
and that's the
weeks.
part
Yeah,
of
somewhere in
it,
there. You can get
because
early.
you
more-
can't tell
what you're saying.
anything.
No, I hear
So
what you're
if you're
saying.
going to say that, then you gotta go.
I'm saying it opens
You
up a
better
whole nother
commit to it
conversation.
and
Right.
go all the
Absolutely.
way.
It's gonna be a life. Let it be a
Okay,
life.
and then if you're going to say that, then men who ejaculate out of masturbation should be charged for death. Okay, premeditated murder.
See, you can't tell me what to do with my body.
Okay.
I'm not telling you
but-
what
but-
to do with your
right.
body.
Don't
I'm
tell me
just,
what to
I'm
do.
Matter
just
of fact,
saying. I'm just saying.
you
if
could
you're
actually-
gonna go,
I'm helping.
if you're gonna
You said
go
helping.
there, we might as well commit
If
to
we're
it.
gonna
Then
control
go
it.
across all the
Go
topics,
all
right?
the way.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter of this, a lot of these
That's
people
deeper than I
who
even thought about
are
it.
who are talking about this abortion, this and abortion that, anything that's not ratified in the Constitution is up for attack. So free education, freedom of speech,
Right.
interracial marriage, gay marriage,
Everything.
all of that is on the table for them to
Yep.
repeal it. So you might not like Roe v. Wade, but that repealing it is going to start a whole
Well, it's a
chain
trick.
of
It's a trick.
events.
What we talked about, it was a trigger law.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
It's- it's-
Passing
that's gonna lead
passing
some
this
way
will
bigger.
set will trigger so many other laws to
Right.
go into
So
effect.
this
Yeah.
is not about pro-life, because a lot of these pro-life people not really pro-life. They're pro-control.
Yes.
That's what it is about.
Because if they were pro-life, like you said, they would take care of a lot of other things.
Exactly.
Masculinity.
And if you were pro-life, like I had mentioned last week about the adoptions and foster
Mm.
care, and those systems aren't good systems anyways. They're already a failing system
Exactly.
that don't have a lot of control. So like you said, if we're
100%.
going to call it a life,
Yes.
then let's allow these mothers to have
Right.
abortions. Because if you really cared about the life, you would understand that them being born is no quality of life.
Yeah.
Like
Now-
not for real.
and
I
now-
understand that some, like I said, there are some good success stories from foster care and adoption and all
Yes.
that, but there's also bad ones too.
The
It's
There's
system
a
is
majority of them
broken.
are
But
bad.
But if you're
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
do this, then
Yeah.
you need to beef up the system,
Yeah.
because you're going to have a lot of kids going into
Yes.
foster care. And also, do you find it funny that they want to repeal Roe v. Wade and now you can't find baby formula?
All right.
And you know what?
what's
let me tell you
happening with
let me
that?
tell you what's
Why-
crazy.
Let me-
You
let me
said
give-
that.
let me
You
give
said
my-
that. You said that.
let me
You
give
said
my
that.
take
I thought
on
it
Roe
was
versus
crazy.
Wade.
It was crazy because I was at work the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my coworkers, he has a young baby boy,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just like, "Man,
Yeah, you can't.
I can't find formula.
No,
What's
there's
wrong
a
with
Not
it?"
in the
formula?
U.S. You
What
can in
happened-
Canada,
what
though.
happened- What
But
happened
here's
was,
the thing. It's not allowed. They're not allowed to really import formula
Yeah,
from
you can't-
in Canada.
Yeah. What happened
People
was,
driving to Mexico to get formula.
What happened
Well,
was the
you can
company,
ship it
Mexico's
to somebody
getting
in
big for
Canada and have them
BBLs
ship it to you.
and
the
formula.
company, with the biggest company, Abbott. They had two.
Elementary.
They had two.
Abbott.
they had a few plants.
Yes.
One of their main producing plants
It was a couple
was
weeks.
dilapidated, was out of code, had a bunch of problems wrong, and instead of fixing it, they were getting fined, so they closed it.
Mm.
And now, but the formula was short during the pandemic.
Yep.
But it wasn't to this point. But now it's been to a point where, like, I've been in stores. The shelves are completely empty.
Man,
Well,
so
you're in
you
the
talking
stores
about
anyways,
toilet paper
putting
and
stuff on the shelves.
Infamil.
So-
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, but I've been during the whole pandemic. I've been that, and the whole time, most shelves have been empty. Of
But you know
formula.
what? Because
Right.
people were panic buying and they were storing. They were doing it. But another thing too, you have all of these doctors saying, "Don't make your own formula." Then what do you want people
Breast
to do?
milk.
Everybody,
Everybody
everyone
can't-
people
can't
don't
do
produce
it.
it like that.
Everybody
But
don't
there
produce
are
enough.
places that store for other mothers.
Yeah,
But
too.
here's
but
the
hold on,
thing.
hold on,
That's
hold on.
where they should
but
be
there's
giving
a
them to
shortage
them
there
for free.
too.
Okay,
There's
but
a shortage
There
there
is.
too.
but now
because
time
now
out.
everybody is trying to get donated milk, so there's a shortage.
And,
Yeah.
and then let's not talk about it all at the same time. We're coming out of pandemic. You're gonna have people who are like second guessing getting breast milk from somebody else.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
so, there's all these other
Yeah.
problems like
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
somebody like Inuit for
Yeah.
the breast milk is
Yeah.
not always the solution.
Right.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
let me give my take on
Yeah.
the Wade Roe versus Wade. So I'm pro-life.
I mean,
I
why
don't
am the
believe
only
that
man on here
anybody
talking about
should.
breast milk and stuff. Come on, Trey, say something.
What?
Let Kendra get her point
No,
out.
I agree.
Right.
I agreed with you. Like there's not a lot of people who pump for other women There's
There
a
are
shortage.
some, though.
There's a shortage. But then there's a
in
shortage.
everything.
I'm saying there's a shortage on a lot of that stuff. But then even more when you have people who are poor and you have people who are in certain areas, they get funneled into one area. And then, like in Bellevue, I'm sure there's probably easier to get in Bellevue.
I'm pretty
but
sure.
on the south side of on the
they got
Seattle,
midwives getting paid stupid money to pump breast milk.
exactly.
Not
So,
only,
So,
but not only that, but now wet nurse is about
breastfeeding,
to be a
not everybody
comeback
does it.
profession.
yeah.
But I just
So
wanted to
anyhow-
hear a male's voice on it. Go
ahead.
Kendra.
Let me say this. So for my opinion on that is, no, men should not have a say over what a woman should do with their body. But my only concern is, what if a person gets pregnant and then finds out 6-7 months into the pregnancy a chromosome or some problem is with the fetus, and then now they can't abort the baby, and now they have to bring life. They know that this life is not going to
You mean 6-7 weeks or 6-7 months?
No
6-7 months.
Because that's what a lot of like what is
Then
it?
they'll
There's
end up
like
in
palsy.
foster home.
There's like with
What's
cerebral.
going to end up happening?
Was like is
Or-
it cerebral palsy?
I mean,
Or
yeah.
dead.
Some of the other
Eventually.
ones.
Eventually,
But,
right?
6-7
But-
months in a
Yes,
abortion.
6-7
That's
months
a
because
baby.
after
But isn't
at
the,
a certain period of time in your pregnancies they give tests.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying
They
isn't the
typically
abortion
don't
at that
find out
time,
until
like, super,
5 to 7
No, that's
months.
you're right. That's the abortion at that time is super rare.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Because
not
most-
only-
It
not
already
only just-
is,
not
but-
only just super rare,
It's
but
not-
it's
not-
very
it's not-
critical for. It could be fatal
It
for
is.
the mother,
Both.
right?
Yes.
So
yes.
the more,
But
more
they still
hospital-
have an option.
I-
is the
I-
point.
I hear you.
They
I
would
just
still
think
have that
that's-
option is
It's a
to
lot.
talk with their
That's
partner and
that's
say,
very
do we still want to bring this life into life?
Mm-hmm.
And now they won't if this law is put into place
I mean,
all around the country.
I mean, but
That's
that's
my
almost,
biggest take on
And
it.
that's
That's
just
almost-
why
That's taking
but that's
away
almost
way
like-
more rights.
But that's extreme.
to
That's almost like
a
assisted
individual.
suicide. That's because if you're putting a lot more people mentally in harm's way
Right.
at that point. The
Yep.
doctor that has to perform that situation, not only does he may lose a baby in that situation, but lose a patient at the same time. Like that
So
is
let me say this
extreme.
then.
That's
But it
extreme.
happens.
I'm not
No,
saying.
so let me
I'm
say
not
this.
saying-
Yeah.
I'm
There
just saying that's
are
extreme.
women that not only we go into miscarriage within the first trimester.
Yeah.
It can happen in the second
Yes.
and third as well.
It can happen anytime.
I've been one of those.
I
So then
understand.
at that point, either you have to go through the pain of actually giving
pushing
birth,
out a dead or pushing out a dead baby. yeah.
or it actually just has to come out naturally in
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
Yep.
woman organs anyways.
yeah.
But then that's still considered an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So you at least still have that option.
Mm.
But if they're taking this away, that means that that's no
You got
longer an
no
option.
options.
That means whatever happens with your body, this fetus, whoa, then you just have to wait to see what happens.
Right.
That is some traumatic stuff.
It is.
That is more mental. Like I'm only thinking like, oh, what is gonna go on? Like either kids are gonna be born,
Yep.
either
We'll need a lot more caregivers.
But it's not, and it's not just mental for the mother. It's mental for the
father.
kid
And the
if you're-
father.
Right.
This is
but
a process
if you,
for
if
them
you
both.
a lot
as
of
a
us used to
woman,
work for
if you're a
handicapped
woman who
children,
got
and a
who
lot
got
of the times the dads
they leave.
and then the mothers
Yeah.
are stuck with
Yeah.
caregivers.
But
With
think
kids
about
with
you.
cerebral
You're
palsy,
born, and
you know.
you're told, hey, we're a product of incest, or you were a product of a rape. That's mental problem. That's mental.
Yeah.
And a woman
That's
giving
traumatic.
birth, right? And
Having
a
to-
woman giving birth to like her uncle's kid. You know, those things are crazy. And when you're telling them, oh, it's God's plan, who are you to tell a woman that?
No,
It's a
Because
separation
man
of
wants
church.
to play God.
There's a separation of church and state for a reason, and this is why you can't be talking about it's God and all this kinds of stuff. You don't need any kind of religious zealots running the country.
getting pregnant isn't always God's plan. A lot of times it's just your reproductive system actively working.
Because
Right.
that's
and
what,
I need
There
us to
we
really
go.
kind of wrap our mind
that
around
is-
that.
Well,
Exactly.
I will
No,
say,
exactly.
I will
And hear
say,
me,
I will
understand that
say,
It's a
they say-
bar.
No, it is.
It
I will
is
say
hard.
I would say some of guys chosen weren't what we would call physically, what we call the physically glamorous specimens.
Right.
They were actually more likely the one-offs.
Right.
Moses had a stutter. David was a little freckled redhead boy that was scrawny.
Yeah, but that's
I'm just saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, what I'm saying is to the person, to a natural person's eye at that time, those would be deformities
that's
to
true.
certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's the thing. Like, what we don't get is that those in certain natures, those would be deformities. Those would be the same reasons why people would get rid of children for those reasons. But in that time, they didn't.
That's true.
And so,
Well,
like,
they didn't really have the way. Well, they may have some kind of
and
way
I'll
to
tell
it.
you,
had to
I'll
wait
tell
for
you
it
one
to
thing
get
that
out.
I've learned. I've learned more from kids with deformities than I've learned from people who got all their
Absolutely.
functions.
Listen, no, I've worked
And
with
so,
handicapped kids, and some of them are the sweetest
to say that they aren't God's gift is
Right,
a
but
smacking
then-
God's face.
We're
No,
not-
because
we're not saying that they're not
no.
God's
And so
gift.
they're
That's not
like
what you were saying.
That's not what I was saying.
but at the same time,
Just
like
the
I would say
option.
because, and this is the hypocrisy of parents, because I would say if it wasn't forced on you, if you weren't raped, if this was just a natural cause. You know what I'm saying? You would say, I would love my child regardless. The difference is if this developed after it came out of you, you would feel like you had no choice. But because you feel like you can get in front of it because it's in you, now you have a choice.
Well-
But no. And that's the disgusting part of it to me. Hearing
Right,
it.
I hear
As
you
a
there,
man,
but-
I don't feel like I should be able to tell somebody when they should be able to choose. But also, I know from hearing it from my point of view, it sounds like if I can get ahead of it, no matter what it may be, I'm not going to look at the brighter side of it.
Of that.
I don't want to have to deal with that problem if I can pick it out
But
beforehand.
here, with that, what I was trying to say is like during pregnancy, it could be the first, second, or third trimester, but then the heartbeat stops. These are things that happen, and it could be a chromosome. It could be certain things like that. Not saying that it's because it's the parent's choice to, okay, well, the doctor's giving us, hey, we can abort, we can't. Well, the baby is no longer living inside of me anymore. It's no longer alive.
No,
Inside
I
of me.
understand
You
that.
no longer have a choice.
Yeah.
But the difference of a
But
chromosome
to do
doesn't mean
that.
that they're not living.
Well, and,
Well, what I mean by that is something
Sometimes.
that is
Exactly.
where
Because sometimes they
Yeah.
do die
No,
inside of you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I
Yeah.
understand. I'm
There
a
are all
father.
types of things.
I've been a
you get it.
part. I haven't had a miscarriage, but I've been a part of it. I've been a part of abortion. I've been like I know the process. I don't know how it feels, but I've been a part of the process on both. I understand stillborns. I understand all of
Yeah,
it. I've known somebody who
stillborns
died.
too.
I've known a woman who died giving labor to a baby. Like I've seen so many sides of it, so I understand that. But
I think the whole situation is just crazy because it's like once you start legislating,
Women's bodies.
once you start legislating women's bodies to that
women's
point,
reproductive system.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah, because then especially if you're saying, hey, you can't even take any type of birth control or anything.
Exactly.
to
I was about to bring that up too.
To
Yep.
stop anything.
Mhm.
if you're about to start trying to outlaw UIDs, and all that
If you're
sort of
going
stuff.
if you're going to charge,
IUDs.
Whatever.
it's going to be.
Those were the letters.
I don't
It was
wear
the
it.
it was the letters. It was the
I
letters.
don't wear it.
I don't wear it.
It's gonna be outlawed anyway. But once you start doing that, once you start making it a punishable crime,
Yeah.
then you go into a whole different realm. Because I'm trying to think like.
And then you can start picking it apart.
Yeah.
From that point on.
Because like okay, I'm trying to think of anything that like you can't like. There's certain chemicals like. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we govern like that because we govern like drugs, but that's a different thing because it's
There's some things that we govern to where it's like prohibited for anybody to
You
be able
govern
to
marijuana. Govern
I mean,
marijuana
we
until
govern
recently.
a lot of things like that. I think
they
that
still
there's
govern
not.
that shit.
Well, yeah,
there's
federally.
There's not a law that governs over a person's body.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like,
That way.
you don't. Yeah, it'd be like governing. It'd be like telling somebody, if you smoke that weed and you get high, we're going to also punish you for getting high and what happens when you get high.
Well, technically they do.
Yeah.
Right, when you drink or drive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Well,
okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
or I
Smoke or
mean,
drive,
Or
whatever.
what do they say?
Well,
have to
you
wear a
can
seatbelt.
get-
That's them trying to govern your
you
body.
can
get-
It's
you can
safety,
get-
but
you can have
But
a
But
also
see,
the
but here's the
seatbelt would
thing.
be
The
more
have a
seatbelt
harmful
thing
to
is
you
a
than
fine.
punishment
for
for
lighting up in public.
It's
You
a
could
fine
smoke.
thing.
Like if
You're not
I
getting
sat on
thrown
the
in
corner
jail.
right now and smoked a J or whatever, the police can come up and give me and there's consequences for that. There's consequences for all. So there are
I
consequences.
know we are not.
No, we're not. No,
no, I
I'm not
think we're
saying
I was
trying.
gonna say,
No, I
please
think we're
don't.
trying.
We're not. We're not.
Yeah,
We're
there's
just saying
talking
it's
about
no
governance
comparable.
over your
but
body.
I'm trying to
Because
think
I'm
if
like-
consequences for that.
if
There
there's
are consequences for
anything
that.
like similar, but there's not really
I
because
literally just
it's
said
more
there's
like
not one over a person's body.
like because sex was sex
Sex
eating
eating.
and like dying. That's
I'm-
like they're
I'm
trying to
deciding
govern
that
that part, and it's
worse
just
than anything.
like
See, but they've been doing this for a while because in certain states, a woman can't even get her tubes tied without her husband's permission.
that's I thought it was.
Or after
No,
you have a
it's-
certain
it's
amount
not-
of kids,
You gotta have
of
at
an
least-
age.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, time out.
But there's no state that says a man can't get a vasectomy without his wife's permission.
Now that should be. I think that those should be when you're married. That should
No,
be a
but what I'm-
conversation between
right,
both people.
but what I'm saying is not
no, it should
fair.
have to be.
It's
no, yeah.
not fair.
It
The-
should
a
have to
man
be.
could
I
go
didn't know that
in,
part.
right? A man could go in. A man 25
Yep.
could walk in and say, "I want a vasectomy," and the doctor won't bat an eye. But a woman is 25. Well, are you
But
sure?
it's actually,
are you
Did
married?
you-
How
are you
many
married?
kids do you
Right.
have?
No.
Maybe
it's
you'll
also
want
a cheap.
kids later.
It's also
Yeah.
a cheap process. A lot of people don't know. It's,
And actually-
And wait a minute. And here's the
cheaper
thing.
for
Here's
men.
the thing
It's
with
a
the
cheap process to
vasectomy.
get a
It is.
vasectomy.
Yeah.
It's
like
cheap
$25.
and it's reversible.
Yeah. Yep.
It's easily
Well,
reversible.
For a woman who does
For-
have her tubes tied,
Mhm.
I did have to get my husband's
no, you have to get
signature as well.
See,
But also, I didn't. It wasn't also a requirement. They kept, asking about it only because I have more than 2 kids.
right? But see, certain states
you gotta get
you gotta get
yeah,
that.
like some states
Right.
you gotta get.
And you have to have a certain amount of kids too,
Right.
And be a certain amount of age.
Some,
I was only
some
30.
states some states
So-
But I'm trying to
guys
help you guys understand.
guys are
what-
volunteering.
What
Yeah.
people don't understand is the people who are in charge feels that one thing is under attack.
Yep.
Their legacy. See, men, regardless of what you say, men live life to get married, not necessarily to love women,
Right.
but for women to bear children,
Right.
to live, for their legacy to live on.
Right.
If you're telling them
Listen.
now that you, that now woman can choose on when she wants to carry baby or not, that's when they start to have a problem.
And that's why it's
and
about
that's where
control.
It
Well,
is about
But
control.
listen, at this
It is
very
about
moment,
control.
terrorists killing people have more rights
Well,
than women
and well,
for their own
And
body.
the part of that connects it.
That's true.
There's a part that connects it. And if you don't know what we're talking about, is the shooter that shot that killed 10 people in Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
and he wounded like 3.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things he spouted and was
But that was
talking
a hate
about,
crime.
but
It was.
but one of the things that he spouted and he was
In his
talking about
manifesto.
was replacement therapy,
yeah,
replacement theory.
yeah.
And that's the thing that connects part of these things two together, because you have people who are in power. They use this replacement theory that black and brown people, even though we might be getting more abortions or whatnot,
No, we are not.
but that's the thing. It's perceived that we are, but we're not.
No,
But-
we are absolutely not.
Caucasian people
They
are,
get the
are,
most.
are getting the majority,
Yes.
and that they will be replaced, and that Caucasian people will be replaced
Mm,
in population.
Right.
So that means in power, and
Yes.
so we have to.
they're
and so
scared.
they're
They're scared. That's all it is.
Because there's a shortage, or because there's a perceived that there
Just like in China.
that there will be a perceived shortage. Yep.
In
Just like
China,
in China.
you
When they
only
did that
granted
one
one
baby
kid,
rule.
one child,
That
and
doesn't
it was
apply
and it was
anymore.
a boy.
Yeah.
Right.
That
and it was
rule
a
doesn't
boy.
apply
What you say?
anymore.
No,
Yeah.
it's
That's what
3
he
now.
said.
It's like 3 or something.
Yeah, because
because
what
they
happened
they
is
stopped producing more. They stopped producing more babies.
men could not find
Exactly.
wives
No,
at
well,
a certain point.
It was that was one. You couldn't find wives.
Yeah.
One because all the the secret less told was is that the women were being sold into prostitution, and so that's where most of them were going to, and so now you had this population of women who were into prostitution because that's what their nature was, because people had them as children and they were so young and groomed into that, and then the men were moving to America to live out their gay fantasies
but,
because it was Brokeback Mountain.
Right.
Because all you had was a bunch of boys going to boys' schools around all boys, and that's all they knew.
Because it's the same thing that's happening in India too. Because
Yes.
they would find out because people would choose to have the boy rather than the girl.
Yeah.
Because for
Legacy.
in India, not only legacy, it's more expensive because when you have a girl, you got to pay a dowry.
Yeah.
So when you find out you're having a girl, they get an abortion.
Yeah.
Because if you have a son, the son will bring in a dowry. You gotta pay a dowry if you have a daughter. Mm-hmm. So that's where it comes into.
But it's also all of it boils back to legacy
money,
though.
legacy.
All of it boils back to legacy because
It
if you do not control the womb of a woman, you do not control your own legacy.
Which is crap.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the majority of all of these single homes and single mother homes, all this stuff, and I know that you're an active father, so this doesn't necessarily pertain to like you, but for a lot of these homes that have inactive fathers, it was like, well, this is about legacy, which I do agree. I don't disagree at all. But it's like, how can you control a legacy and then you not even be there to produce
exactly
to nurture it, to love it, to grow it?
But that's what people don't understand is
because that's not even
but hold on, the narrative is not pushed by those fathers.
Exactly.
The narratives are pushed because the people that are in control aren't the fathers that are missing. The people that are pushing the narratives are the fathers that are in power.
Or not fathers yet.
Exactly.
But desire to be.
Yeah, because you look at the powers that be. I mean, how many people?
They grandfathers.
But even then though, I mean, we know of some of these people's children because of their fathers. You know of all the Clintons. You may not know what she looks like, but somebody say Chelsea Clinton, you know who she is because of her father.
Right.
We know anybody in the Bush lineage because of the father, the Rothschilds, the Morgans who've been around since the 1800s. I mean, you know all these people because of the fathers of these families. That's how you build legacy. And so there's people who are still in these families, who are still part of these legacies, who understand how legacy is built and how it continues to go, whether it be through the woman's name or a man's name. But regardless, if that bloodline is still there, it still controls the narrative of the legacy. And they know that. For you to kill that would be murder to them because then they lose power.
On that because
like you said.
Here's the thing. What you're saying is I understand your point, but the reason why I call BS on it is because all those legacies, those Rothschilds and those Bushes and stuff, their women get abortions. Okay, if their son knocks up some trailer park chick, they're gonna make that girl get an abortion. That baby gonna disappear.
I guarantee you that half of them probably have the abortions without the acknowledgement of the man.
That's not
true.
That's not true because
because in these higher legacies, and this is what I'm going to tell you right now, is because one thing when she talked about non-present fathers. What people don't even understand is in most of these families, the father isn't present either because he's dedicated most of his time not to his family but to the success of the legacy. So he's spending most of his time away. There's so much that goes on in the house of that home that the father's unaware.
What I'm talking about is their selective legacy because they can. It's selective. A lot of them, their women, their sons have. Get women pregnant, and they have no problem.
To let one of them get
abortion. They have no problem. Wait a minute, they have no problem killing that child. But then when they talk about with the selective,
part of it is like
it's a selective legacy thing you're talking about because they don't just want their kids to breed with anybody.
It's women motivated because they're women. So this is where I want you to understand is we're talking about the narrative of women controlling their body.
Right.
So yes, this is a woman-controlled narrative. If a woman is able to get in front of and understand that she's pregnant before a man does, of course she can get rid of it. Now, let me tell you something. I guarantee you, in most of these times, if he finds out that she's pregnant before she can get rid of it, they're keeping that baby. In these prominent families.
Most of the time. No.
All right.
No.
Okay.
Let me tell you something, Mark. It's selective.
Because they want to control the legacy.
Exactly.
They don't want to just have their kid born with anybody.
Women are conditioned to want security.
Anybody. If it's
just
already
with
in a
anybody.
family, if it's already in a family, like if they already have children and things of that nature, I'm not talking about people who don't have children. These legacies are built by people who already have children.
What I'm saying, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I think y'all understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying about it's already in the family. What I'm telling you is these Rothschilds and all these highfalutin, all these this old
High
money,
influencers,
right? They have abortions
They make
just
their
as
mistresses-
much.
I'm not saying
They
that.
make
They
their
make their
mistresses
mistresses have
pregnant.
abortions.
I'm not
They
saying that's
have
not
all
true.
this.
They make their
But what I'm
children
saying
who
is,
have
you're talking
babies
about
outside
I'm saying
legacy.
two things can be true.
right?
I'm saying that they could be having those abortions, but I'm also saying that there could be a person ignorant to the fact that those abortions are going on if he doesn't even know that the woman is pregnant.
Sometimes-
Because
But what
half the
I'm-
time,
but what I'm
half the
saying
time a
is-
woman knows that she's pregnant before a man because
Right.
it's your body.
Okay, but what
these
I'm
women to
saying,
have them, is what we're
exactly.
saying. And a lot of times it's not the direct because I'm in love with you.
Right.
So it's not times it's not the direct son. Sometimes it is these higher fathers.
Yep.
But she's not good enough for legacy.
Exactly.
So you have to have this abortion.
Exactly.
I've seen it happen.
That's what
And
it
they're
is.
not even really high ups for
The
real.
only-
It's just
the-
the
I
fact
think
that
I-
legacy. But
I'm
like
talking
you
about.
said,
I'm talking about
no,
the people
hear
who
me.
run the world.
No,
I'm
and
not
we-
talking about the
That's
people who
what we
run the
talk-
world.
That's what we're
No,
talking
listen,
about.
we are
Because guess
too.
what? There's the
Because-
Rothschilds. The reason that they're still around is because
selective
because there's
breeding.
because there's multiple babies that ain't. There's
Wait,
not just one
okay,
baby
okay,
that
okay.
there's not one baby that
Correct.
exists. There's like 10 babies from the
Correct.
family
Here's a
that
question.
creates
Right.
another 20 babies.
Here's-
Right.
Here's
And
a
we've
question.
aborted
Here's a
these
que-
ones because
here's a-
those ones weren't good enough.
Here's a question.
Exactly.
Here's a
You
question.
can't tell
here's
if a baby's
here's
good
question.
enough when it's
But-
a woman.
but-
But
wait,
they
hold on.
don't care.
Because the
They
wife,
don't
because the woman
care.
is
No, but-
mistress,
No,
because
here's-
the
here's the
woman
question.
is.
They're all,
Here's-
most of them
here's
are the
come
same
from the
women.
right-
They get the same
exactly.
mom.
No, here's a question.
Yes.
Most of them been married
When-
multiple times.
You remember Arnold Schwarzenegger
Uh-huh.
had that baby
Uh-huh.
with
The
the
maid.
Nanny.
with the maid.
Yeah.
With the maid.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think for a second that Maria Shriver did not say,
You better get rid of that.
can we get rid of it?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure she did.
Exactly.
Women get
And
paid
this is
to have
what we- and that-
abortions
and this
by
is
the
what
I'm
we're
pretty
talking-
sure she did.
And
Let
that's
me
what
tell
I'm
you why.
talking
Let me
about.
tell you why the baby's not gone. Because another woman said, "I'm not getting rid of this baby," because
Exactly.
she knew that was her ticket. So
Another
guess
one.
what? It all boils down to a woman.
We're
Now
not
guess
arguing
what?
that.
Guess what? If that woman did not want Arnold Schwarzenegger's baby, either she's going to force his hand or she's going to get rid of it before anybody else knows.
But what-
And so that's what I'm saying is that when it turns around, it's all on the hands of women. There's not prominent
We're not
men saying you
arguing
finna have this baby.
That's what.
Unless they know.
What you're saying.
Unless they
Yes.
know. Unless they know. Because guess what? If you don't have children or you know your legacy's on the line, you're going to say, guess what? You're not
Listen.
having an abortion. I'll tell you like
Prominent
this.
people
I'll tell you,
Prominent
no.
people do it all the time.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
They
It happens.
selective
prominent- I
breed
think-
all the time.
I'll tell you
Selective.
because I did the
all
opposite.
around the world,
I'm
All
trying to-
around
all
it.
everywhere.
The
I know-
royal family.
Royals families do it all the time. So
Marrying third and
selective-
fourth
There's
cousins.
people and there's
Selective breeding
and there's
happens
people who
all
do
the
it the
time.
opposite. Okay, that's why
And I agree that- no,
that's
there's
why
people
that's
do
why
it opposite all
Meghan
the
Markle
time,
and
too.
them babies ain't dead. You feel me? They
Right,
didn't
but
force
they
them to have
also- but they've also been
abortion.
exonerated.
But I think both of them wanted the kid though.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he loved her. And so,
But the
so-
family
wait,
did
hold
it.
on, wait a
Hold on,
minute.
but the family did it. The
But
people in
Pop-
power
and
did
so
it.
But
he
they
stepped
didn't
away.
want her.
Exactly,
Wait,
he
hold on.
stepped away.
They
But
didn't
that's
step
the
away
point.
because of the baby. They stepped away because of other stuff.
No,
Yeah,
but they didn't
right,
want
because of
her.
the rape, but
They
They didn't want her.
They didn't want her from the
Right.
beginning.
Right.
He stepped away.
But it
hold
wasn't
on.
about the baby.
But if he wanted to continue the legacy,
Yep.
he wouldn't have gotten with her in the first place. When he
Exactly.
found out she was pregnant, they would have paid her off and she'd have
Exactly.
had that
No,
if she wanted. If
he never had a pathway to the. He never had a pathway to the throne
But
anyway.
he still
So that's
stepped
why it was.
away.
No, hold on. Before he even met Meghan Markle, he was already the rough shot of the family. He was already going against the grain. So let's
Okay.
not say that. He was
know that.
already online
We're just
to be the
using
one
the
to say, you know
example.
what, we don't know about you and his legacy.
Right,
Before
okay.
Meghan Markle even came along. So
Right.
let's not say she tipped the scale. No, she was the one who said, proof in the pudding, I don't want to be a part of this. He already knew he didn't want to be a part of that.
Right.
His whole life. Let's
But-
not play that.
But it doesn't
think that's
matter.
a
He's
good point.
their
Come
kid.
on.
It
Let's
doesn't
not play
matter.
that.
It doesn't matter.
We ain't
Their
playing
kid,
that,
their
but you
kid
gotta bring
is
it
still
in.
part of the legacy. That's the
That's
point.
true, what he
The
just said.
point
I get
is
that.
the kid is still part of the legacy. And who's to tell you that the royal family haven't had a couple of these little
Yeah.
chicks have the little abortions because you weren't good enough to bring
Because
that
you're
baby
a
into
maid.
this
Or there's
lineage.
some
Yes, but when you
mixed
get
race or-
married,
yes.
I guarantee you,
That's
Prince
if we're-
Harry,
that's if
when
they're
he
married.
knocked up his
But
wife,
you're-
they wasn't saying,
but
guess what?
you're
No,
assuming-
no, no,
Wait,
no,
but
no,
you're
saying, hold on,
assuming-
hold on.
but
That
you're-
baby ain't good
but
enough.
Mark,
No,
Mark,
no.
you are
They said,
assuming-
oh, what?
Stop.
Oh, what?
Can we please explain?
You
You're
are
doing a lot.
assuming
But you
that-
said
I'm sitting
marriage.
back. I've been
No,
sitting back.
You
hear
are
it. No, you're not.
assuming that
Crazy.
only
Right, take it back.
married
I'm
women
sitting back.
want to have an
Crazy.
abortion.
You're talking
Crazy.
about hold on, because legacy and marriage. Because you were talking about legacy when anybody getting pregnant.
Exactly.
No,
We're
I was talking about
marriage.
legacy with
Yes.
married men.
No, that you didn't. But you didn't
The
say
Rothschilds
married
are married men.
Okay, but we're
These are
talking
married
about the
men.
babies
The guys who
that
write the
we
laws are
made.
married men.
Right, but we're talking about the babies.
What does
they
that
may
exactly
outside of the marriages
exactly
that they did have.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Because what you said. Legacy.
Exactly.
Means all children.
Exactly.
No.
Legacy is attached to the name. So guess what?
But
you
if
know
you
what?
have my
Sometimes.
sperm, I can now be a part of your legacy.
Exactly.
Because I now have your DNA.
Exactly.
So when you said legacy, we're talking DNA now.
Right.
So we're not just talking lesson, but you're right.
Nah.
These wives probably weren't having because of legacy. However, all of these little mistresses and prostitutes
Yep.
and everybody else he may have had.
That's right.
That's what Thomas.
And
Hold on,
those
hold
are on
I'm
paper.
not-
Those are things that are forgotten or not known
Hold on,
about.
but wait, hold on. Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
Yep.
Thomas Jefferson. His
Part of
family.
his legacy is what?
Part of his legacy
that one.
are the black
The sleep.
children.
Exactly.
But see, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about that.
No,
When I'm talking
he got
about
black
legacy,
children.
because guess
I
what?
know,
The
but
people
you're
who are
like-
still in power, from the Rothschild are people who were born in within the wedding or within the marriage. I'm not talking about people outside of legacy. They're not killing people outside of their legacy. They're not killing people who their wives bore child to. They're not doing that. So that's what I'm saying.
And that's why I said it's selective.
I also said two things can be true because I agree to the fact that there's people out there that may be getting abortions of prominent families, but I'm not saying that these prominent families that are married with each other are having abortions. Because that's how they consider their legacy.
Right.
That's why it's all built back to that because they can control the legacy because there are wives that were having abortions without telling their husbands, and that's another way that they can control it. I'm agreeing with you guys.
But we can switch topics.
Damn.
It's called. That's why I said it's
That's
selective.
a selective breeding. That's what it is.
The word was selective. I said it's selective.
But I think
Right.
to wrap it all up, I think it's what's
Sometimes
coming.
we get all hyped like that, we can't understand.
what's
'cause it
coming
sounds like you
next?
were
Oh my
saying-
God.
Y'all take sound bites of what I say and then turn it back around me.
How
But
we
you ain't
gonna
listening
take
to the
sound
whole
bites?
thing.
We sitting right here, Marv.
Yes, but you're not taking the whole conversation of what I'm saying. You're taking bits and
But
pieces, which is
sometimes-
different, which is the same thing as taking a sound bite. It's a bit and piece of what somebody
Right.
said and then turning it around on them, but you're not taking the whole
But
entirety of
sometimes
it.
you can't make all that out because it sounded like I said you talked about these families having.
I'm saying the Rothschild. I'm saying the
So-
legacy because guess what? Those names still exist to this day. Why? Because of the children that the parents bore. So those the Chase Bank.
Time out.
No,
If
Chase Bank, hold on. Chase
if
Bank,
I
Chase
have
Bank,
an
hold on,
affair with a
time out,
Rothschild,
Chase
I can
Bank,
give.
time out,
I
time
can
out,
put
time out,
that
time out.
child
Chase Bank.
Rothschild on
I
the
thought you
birth
said you were moving
certificate.
on.
Oh no,
We're about to
Chase
move
Bank.
on.
Chase Bank, hold on.
I
And
can
Chase
put
Bank is called
Rothschild
what?
on that
You
birth
go to
certificate.
Chase Bank is
And
called
the
what?
only way you
Chase
could
Bank
tell
and-
me
Chase Bank,
I
JP
can't
Morgan,
have it
JP
is
Morgan and
if-
Chase, right? If you go back to the first Great Depression, the person who started the first Great Depression's name was JP Morgan. So when I talk about legacy,
I disagreed with your.
that's
legacy.
what I'm saying.
We never disagreed with your
That's
legacy
all I
concept.
said. And that's why I said two things could be true. What you saying is one thing, but what I'm saying is another. I wasn't disagreeing with what y'all saying with. And that's why I can get hype. Because you guys only hear one side of what I'm saying,
I
not the
believe
other.
I believe you taking sound bites because what I said was
What
that's
she said.
what I said that was selective legacy.
Right.
Because if I
It is
have
selective
if I am the
legacy.
mistress of a Rothschild, I can put the Rothschild on my child's birth certificate, and the only way you could tell me no is if we have a DNA test and we go to court.
Right.
My child will have the Rothschild name. You can fight me if you want.
You
But
say
the only way you
you
can
know
fi-
how many
the
kids?
only way you can-
you know how many
you can-
kids that
oh,
are
you can
probably
tell me
alive
that?
right now that are probably under NDAs or whatever. Moms can't come out talking about that the kid is even exists and the family's taking care of the kid because they say you
Because
talk about
it's selective.
selective. I'm
Selective.
saying where
Once
you talk
again-
about one side, you can talk
once
about the
again,
other. These are the people who don't.
selective
But these are the people who
that's
don't.
why I said
They don't
selective.
control.
He's
Selective
proving
breeding.
No, what I'm
that
saying
point.
is these
Yeah.
are the people who don't control the rights to the legacy anyway. So that's what all I'm saying is two things can be true. What you're saying is it can be true, but all I'm talking about is that there's people out here who want to control their legacy,
Right.
and their legacy is controlled through the womb of a woman. That's it. And so, regardless on what you want
No
to
one
say,
ever agreed
the
with
people
that.
who
No
are
one never
no,
said
the
that
people
that
who are
wasn't
making the
the
laws,
case.
the people who are making the laws, the people who are funding the people who are making the laws, see it that way.
No one disagreed
regardless
with
on
that.
how you want to
No
see
one
it.
disagreed with that,
point.
Marv.
No one
That's
disagreed
what I'm
with
saying.
that point.
That's
No
all I've
one-
been saying all the
no
time.
one
No one
did
disagreed with your
not.
point.
I know that, but no, y'all
So
was.
why are you getting all
No one
so
Check
disagreed
the
with your
tape.
We
point.
can switch it to
We were
the
talking about
next
selective
topic.
breeding.
When
No
y'all
one
take the
disagreed with your
tape,
I
point.
don't know, maybe forget the next
Okay.
topic.
I was trying to tell me I was wrong.
How do we
Okay,
make you
I
feel
agree.
like
Can we-
I
I
told you
agree.
a selective.
You
le-
said selective
selective.
breeding. No
Trey's
one
going on to
disagreed.
the next
On the
Keep going on,
transcript,
that's-
on the
okay.
transcript, there'll be 100
Yes,
millions. I
yes,
agree.
okay,
from me.
okay.
On the
Once
next-
again, folks.
the next-
Once again, we've witnessed Marv
Agreeing
having
and then being turned
having
on.
his blowout.
The
Nobody
next-
disagreed- no one
The
disagreed with you,
next
though.
topic
Whatever.
is.
I agree.
We added to this. We added.
Does
to the
everybody know
conversation.
what's going on between Coi Leray and Benzino?
And we want to talk about that.
Because that's a legacy that's all broken up. Because ain't that his
Okay,
Because
and
ain't that his daughter
and
or
I'm
something?
asking the question: who are these people?
Okay,
Legacy.
Benzino is
That's
a
funny. 'Cause isn't that a
rapper
daddy or
from
something?
Boston, but he was also the
I'm like Loving Hip Hop.
owner.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean he was on,
Okay,
but he was
okay.
also the owner.
It depends on what generation you're from, how you see.
But
it.
he's the owner.
that.
Like
I know him from
a
TV.
lot of people know him from like we might know him
Source.
from,
We know
from the
him from
source.
The
Yeah,
Source.
from
Yeah, yeah.
he's one of the people who ran the source, which is source is
you're
huge.
right.
I remember
Let her know that.
Benzino now. Who's
Yeah.
the other person?
And it's his
daughter.
daughter.
She's a rapper.
She's a rapper.
What's her name?
Coi Leray.
I
She
say,
sings TikTok songs.
I say
Right.
it's the
Cora.
perfect proof
What's
of
going on with
when
them?
when somebody is raised with a little bit of
What's
money
going on?
and then something happens, money gets took away, they become a spoiled brat, and then this is what you get.
She,
No,
she
I don't
basically
disagree.
was saying like,
I don't disagree. That was very clear. I don't disagree.
Am I not?
I missed that one.
Am I wrong in saying like she's basically acting like she grew up and like she grew up bad?
Because she be
said
acting like she grew up poor,
She
like
grew,
she
she
wasn't
grew up
around.
poor.
So-
She grew up like
But there's evidence to the contrary, of
Yes.
course.
Well,
Yes.
no, well,
Is there?
well, the
Okay.
evidence is so
like she acted like she grew up poor and that the relationship wasn't
two things can be true.
great.
Two
Okay.
things
There you
can
go.
be true. Okay. Benzino only had her and another son, I believe,
I think so.
with her mother.
Okay.
But she had 4 other children.
She had 4
Oh,
other
the
children?
mom
The
had.
mom
oh,
had
okay,
4
okay,
other
okay,
children.
Okay.
Okay.
So he only has the 2.
So
okay.
when
I'm following.
Coi Leray was born in '97. That's
was a
when
kid.
Source took off.
Yeah.
So she
Was it that late?
Yeah, when it really
I remember
like
it
well,
vaguely, but I
when it
remember
really
it.
like
Oh, when it
took-
really popped up.
when
Yeah,
it
okay,
really
okay,
popped
okay,
off.
okay.
You know, and then he got into all his legal troubles, all that type of stuff, and so all his money was going into fighting his legal troubles, but he was still paying her mother, you know,
For the 2.
what he said was he's paying at that point anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month to her.
Man.
Now, when you think about it, okay, $2,000 to $3,000 a month to a person who doesn't work, not really a lot of money.
No, it's not.
You know what I'm saying?
But
I mean,
in
but
any
it
other
is assistant
situation,
for the child.
that-
It's
yeah,
it's a good
it's a good
it's
amount
good
of money.
amount of help
It
Yeah.
is.
from the father.
In the
In
97?
Yeah,
That's a lot
97.
of
That's a
money
lot of
now.
That
money.
But
is. Yeah.
Not even then, no. We're talking about this is further on because you know, I mean, by this time, everything's falling apart. I mean, he probably left when Coi was probably about 9 or something like that.
Right.
All this stuff is going on. She probably about like 14, 15.
Right.
You know, she dropped out of school around 16, whatever. Got a job. Her mom was bartending. All this other type of stuff. So they had expenses that they had to take care of.
Right.
But that's not on Benzino.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that's where a lot of people get. I'll put it this way. I know, I'm not even gonna say their name. I know a very famous family, and they're not like famous like a Benzino type famous. They were
Is he
they're
really
they're part.
famous?
No, they were part
Poor
of.
Benzino.
No, seriously, they were part of the biggest drug organization in California in United States history. You know what I'm saying? And their dad, when I met them, their dad was booked. Yeah, he was booked, and he had been gone for almost a decade. So all the money that he had made, all of that, they had
It's all
no
tied up.
Yeah, no access.
no
to it.
access to none of it. So now they're living in a small town. Their mom is working at care homes. You feel me? They used to party with Fabulous and Jeezy and all these other type of people, and now they're not even thought of.
Things
you know?
can change very quick.
Yeah.
Very fast. But in that, when he got out, he still was in love with his wife. So, boom, things changed back like that really quick.
Right.
But then he got popped again. And guess what? Things
changed
changed back like that
again.
really quick.
Yep.
But the thing that they did was they adapted to that because they understood
Right.
what they signed up for.
Right.
Right.
So the thing is that with Coi Leray, she doesn't understand what she signed up for because what was signed up for was before she was even born.
Yeah.
And because he was in the picture with the other kids, he was helping out with the other kids that weren't his, and so she was in that picture. So she gets the residual of all the fallout, and she doesn't understand that, and so that's when you get a spoiled brat who just doesn't understand
So
life.
Where's the
but
son
hold
at
on.
in this
So was
then?
he taking care? So was he when all this stuff fell? Because I said I vaguely remember. Like, I'm a little younger than y'all, not a whole lot, but enough to where like I remember the source, but I wasn't old enough to really partake in the information. So I remember it being around. So when it started crashing, after everything was said and done, it was gone because it's not really so much a thing anymore. Was he still helping taking care of the kids, or did he kind of like fall off?
So
I can see a grudge
I
happen.
thought
Like,
he
well,
just
you kind of
sold
fell
it,
off.
didn't he?
I don't know.
So
Sounds
yeah, so
financially,
what happened
yes.
is that
From what I read.
so he was going through a bunch of stuff, and then a bunch of clean cut business guys came in and bought the source, and that's what really. That's when the source really went downhill.
Okay.
But his financial problems went downhill because he was fighting cases. He was fighting murder charges and all type of different stuff. So his
the mom went and got a job, and he wasn't.
Yes, but it wasn't not just $2,000-$3,000 a month. It just was lower than that.
Oh, you would
not that he wasn't ever paying. It just wasn't in those bigger.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
and in the 1900s,
so now
that's
she's just
a lot
being
of money.
it is. And so now she's being a brat.
No, pretty much.
Because she's just saying, hey, you were paying this, and now you're not
Right.
paying that anymore. Well, when your situation changes, your finances change.
Because she even said
when I make more, you get more. When I make less, you
she
get
did
less.
a DJ Vlad interview where she talked about how
I
Benzino
didn't
bought
watch
her
it.
this. He bought her this Jeep, and she just lost it.
Yeah,
and
I
and
heard
it's
about
just
that.
like he's like, how'd you lose it? And she's like, things just happen, and you just lose it. So you understand her
understood.
mind.
Yes.
She's still immature.
It's called
She's still
entitlement.
and she still hasn't matured yet, because Vlad was like, well, why didn't you just call the insurance? I didn't even know nothing about any of that. Whoa.
And this comes down to the parents teaching the kids.
That's one thing, but it also comes back down to bitter moms, and this is why I want to say that too, because when you're not a bitter mom, you take the time out to educate your kids.
Yeah.
But if the mom isn't bad mouthing Benzino, because her expectations was from when he came in, he's taking care of everybody. Now he don't financially got to take care of everybody. Now he's just trying to take care of his kids, but her expectations for him to take care of everything. And so now the energy that she has towards everything is, F Benzino, and he ain't living up to this. So now you see a struggle between him and his daughter because she gets the residual of that.
Right.
Well, and now she sees the risk, so then now she gets to manipulate in between. So let's not go with just the bitter mom or even Benzino not holding up to his.
But you would think
But
with her
the
being a
child,
star, she would
too.
understand the rise and fall, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, the record label, the
some
social.
of these younger
he's
ones.
a celebrity.
No,
It's being-
because
I think that
because
you get it
there
at
is a
some
sense of like you said, it's all about entitlement.
Right.
It all comes about entitlement, and also maybe if they were practicing some selective legacy, this might not have been
Yeah.
Listen, that's why I have
No,
one.
this is not about collective. This is
No,
about-
I'm just
this is more about
Well, wait,
nepotism.
and I want to know where
Absolutely.
the son is in this. If Cora's over here having all
Probably
these
like,
tantrums,
just wait for her
Where
to
is-
get done having her
Exactly.
mess.
right? Probably.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
where-
but
It's kind of
Okay.
like the
Well-
Kirk Franklin situation with his son, how his son was acting.
Right.
Well, okay. So
'Cause I expect
I
you to
talk
do more.
about this family that I know, right? And this is interesting that you talk about it, right? So he had 4 kids. He had twins. He had a middle daughter, and then he had a youngest son, right? When he got out, his youngest son was 12. You know what I'm saying? The older kids had seen the rise
And the fall.
and the fall.
And
They
everything in
knew
between.
all the tea.
Yep.
They knew all that.
Yeah.
all the truths,
Little
all the
boy-
falses, all the myths, everything.
Little boy don't know
No,
nothing because the whole time his dad was in prison. So his dad get out. His dad got all the money. They doing all this. If you talk to this boy today, he's probably almost 30. The way he would talk to you is from all he remembered was the high times of that lifestyle.
Right.
And all the, and I knew them during this time.
Right.
The yachts and the jewelry and all that, you know what I'm saying? And then shopping sprees and the cars. And he could tell you about all that because he was a kid, the nonstop video games and all that.
Now I want to know who this family is.
To where it hurt his, no, seriously, to even where it hurt his work ethic.
Right.
Because he got to a point where he's a grown man, he didn't understand how to
Yep.
work for anything because they had money.
A
They
lot.
had
And that's
chefs,
happened
they
to a
had
lot of
butlers,
these rich
they
people
had
kids.
all
They ain't
But
got
you can
no
see
kind
that
of
even
work
in everyday
ethic either.
families. Like when
Right.
you have families like my grandma, my dad, and my 2 aunties are I think 15 years older than my second, or than the latter half. And even in the way that if you listen to my dad and my aunties talk about some of the stuff my grandparents did and said because they didn't have nothing,
Right.
My grandma
Yeah.
got pregnant
People
real
used to
young.
become successful
And
later
then-
on in their lives.
Right. And so then you talk to my uncles, they're like, nah, we had the car. And my aunties would tell, my dad didn't get my first car. However, I think my uncles had 2 and 3 and 4. I remember, my uncle stayed having cars.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the situation was different.
Yep.
Granddad had to become a construction worker.
Yeah.
Their
And the
finances
times are
changed.
different. Yeah.
Right. But man, my dad and my aunties will tell you were completely different. And not that their life was bad or hard. It's just
Right.
it
But
was
there was,
just
there was a little more
different
struggle.
Like,
because there was a
especially
bit
black
more struggle.
Yeah.
They had to
Black
grow
people
up
like
with
40,
them.
40
It
plus
happens.
and all that, they become more
Yeah.
successful during that time. they are more fruitful. They
Right.
they show their kids a
Yeah.
different type of world than
My
when
next
they're in the.
kid's life's about to be completely different than
but-
it
Yeah, and
but
they
think about
level
it.
out. They level out. Yeah.
In your 20s, you're struggling.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
people have
Right.
kids in their 20s, so during the struggle of you
Right.
struggling, you're
Right.
dragging
But
kids.
I'm
through your
literally
struggle.
growing up
you.
with
Yeah.
you. I'm growing up with you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like my
So-
mom, like
You
we're
wasn't
all
struggling.
different ages.
Mm.
We're all like my two older sisters. They're 2 years apart. I'm 5 from them. My brother's 5 from me. So we all have different. We all know different things.
Different level
Yeah.
of your parents.
Different levels of different levels of
Different
parenting.
levels of
I struggle-
parenting
That's
too.
everybody.
So I
Yeah.
struggle with
Because
having.
what I would get whooped for, my younger brother did
Yeah,
not get
yeah.
whooped.
I struggle with having
Most
another
Mexicans
kid
don't
for
have it
that
easy.
reason.
I like
Right.
Is
it.
because I had my son when
You were
I was
younger?
23.
Right.
You know, and we went through a lot. He's seen a lot. Me and his mother went through. It was a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And I knew if I had another kid, it would be totally different. And I
Because you're
didn't want the
wiser now.
jealousy. I
Right.
didn't want the jealousy of my
Oh, you
son
realize-
being like, I didn't get that type of upbringing,
Right.
and having to explain to him like I'm in a different season in my life
Yeah.
than I was then, and I was still learning how to be an
Right.
adult.
I can see
was
that
still
in
learning
your
how to be a
girls.
parent.
I was gonna say my
'Cause
19-year-old be like, "Mom, you
You
do not
baby
treat." I was like,
that
my
girl.
19-year-old
Oh my
went through the
goodness.
struggle with me for real.
For
My
real.
7-year-old though is my baby. Like,
Yep.
yes, she.
But I feel like the youngest always is their people's
She is,
like.
but she's
they-
more
because they grow
knowledgeable though
up
too.
different.
She
Right.
she is more into learning, and she's not entitled. All my girls have to earn what they get, but
you're a
it
different
is a
person.
different
Well,
living.
she
19
gotta
to
earn a little
7,
less.
like
But
that's
I-
a big gap.
But
you know
we
what I mean?
change as parents over time. So
Yeah, there we go.
I really, so
And I'm
my
learning
sons-
through the process.
my son's mom, she had a daughter first, right? And her daughter, when she had her, we were young, and you know, I came into the picture. She's, you know, the daughter's running around crazy. She's young. She don't know what to do. She tired all the time. Yada yada yada. And it was just we were on the struggle bus, right?
Right.
My son was born. And the energy towards him changed because she had already done this. So now she know these are the mistakes I made here.
Right.
Yeah.
So when my son was a little, he couldn't even read, walk, talk. But she's sitting on the floor with him, and they're going over colors and
Right.
words and all this. So he's super advanced because since he's been a kid, she's been tapping into his intellect. We weren't doing that with her daughter, and so
Right.
that's
There it goes to
That's
show the
that's
same thing.
that's what the evolution of parenting. Like we don't we don't always take that into account.
Oh,
And
I
so,
do.
well,
My oldest and my other 3 went to daycare. I was able to be a stay-at-home mom with my 7-year-old.
It makes all
She's
the difference.
bilingual. She's been bilingual since she was 2. And my older girls, they're Hispanic,
Yeah.
and they barely speak Spanish.
That's hilarious.
So they often ask me, you know, what's the difference? And I'm like, I got the time to be a
Yeah,
parent.
Like I said, it's
exactly.
different.
With her, with you guys, I
made
had
the
to
mistakes, like you
work
like what
school-
you were
yeah.
saying. I made the mistakes with the first
Yep.
one. So even when I look
It's
at
like
my
they-
own,
I wouldn't
That was
even
the first
call it
pancake.
mistakes.
No,
I
it was
would
like
call
learning.
For lack
Right,
of
yeah,
a better term.
learning
I'm
through
saying it,
what
you know?
works for you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because I would say, oh, well, that's just like formula and breastfeeding.
Right.
What works for you is what works for
Right.
you.
that's why
Well-
I'm not trying to say I'm never having another kid, but I really don't want another.
You're struggling with the
No, I
decision
know.
of
Well, because I
yeah.
know,
You about to have another
like
kid.
I know
You don't even have one yet.
I know my kid.
got
I know if
3.
I had another kid,
No, you
when
don't.
that kid
Your son will
turns
have a problem
15,
with it,
16,
yeah.
they're gonna have a car.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
because I can now.
Because
Right, 'cause
that's
you
not
can't do it.
automatic.
Well, you
Right.
know, you can finesse. You know how to get one really fast, or the way to
Because
get.
it's different. I didn't understand how to buy a car.
Yeah.
Right, with you.
I didn't
Right.
know how to. I thought you had to go. I thought you had to go to the little
And this
pull
is
apart,
why I'm
whatever,
proponent
and
for
pay a little
people,
$1,500
not because you
to do-
biologically can have a kid, you're supposed to. That's all I'm saying.
No,
That I think should be a rule or a law. Like I used to think to myself, parents at a younger age, because I was a young mom, they should need to do the same thing they do for a driver's license to become one.
Licensing parents.
I used to think that because there's
so.
so many
She used
neglected
to.
parents.
Sex is
I used to think
sex is
that
spontaneous,
because
though.
there
Yeah.
just be people popping out kids but
Yep.
not taking care of them.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, the system fails. I'm a product of the system.
Right.
Not every person becomes, greater from the system, and
Right.
it fails a lot. And
'Cause you don't
I
learn.
always used to
There's
think
so
that.
much that you don't get to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you're a product of the system,
And
there's
I want to
things that
soak up
you-
all the learning. Like,
you-
give it to me.
Well, the first thing that you lose when you become a product of the system is trusting anybody. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So you can't trust nobody.
No, but I
All kind of
saying?
abandoned.
You
you
try.
gotta learn how to. Yeah.
I know. It's a
Through
trust
learning?
is an forever learning
Battle.
process with an adopted child. Because what people don't understand is the people that you feel like you should have trusted the most, you couldn't. And so once
then
that
everybody
becomes
else is-
everybody else, and
that was
regardless on
DNA.
Or
and
little,
then y'all
or,
ain't.
and little things can break. Little things can break connections to other things. Like you can be like, they didn't pick me up right at the time they're supposed to be.
Because your loyalty meter is now your standard of loyalty is higher.
Deficit.
Yeah.
And so there's so much
It's just
more
more
people have to do to
emphasized.
prove their loyalty to you
Right.
than a person who was raised in a traditional family.
Yeah.
Right.
Because see, a person who's raised in a traditional family understands like pitfalls, downfalls, in and outs, and all that.
Well,
but
not
how to bring
understands
them-
more. They just have the routine of it, so it's habit.
Well,
So that's just a normal feeling.
And they're
but
talked
because
through
when
it.
they
They talk
have it,
through it.
you have the tools. So it's like if you have a disagreement with your spouse or whatever, you've seen somebody go through the process of that. When you're an adopted kid, everything that you're processing, you don't know how to take it.
And then try not being adopted. Try just being swung in the system, and then nobody really actually picked you.
Right.
Then that's
even-
more,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's just
Definitely.
more of an issue, you know?
Definitely.
Oh, your parents didn't either, and then nobody else did, so now you got to figure out life in your direction, your path. So that's a whole nother.
I just, but people, I don't like to devalue people's experiences. So like you said, maybe what she experienced and what the other kids experienced. So she's just acting out of her experience.
Yeah.
So is she being a spoiled brat? Probably.
It's her perspective.
It's
so
her
gotta be
perspective.
respected.
But at the end of the day, you're an adult. At the end of the day, you're responsible for your actions and because what I believe parents do is they should be preparing their kids to go out there and get their own and do your thing. Okay, now
it's gonna look differently,
and if
depending on the
then
decade.
she needs to go to some therapist couch and work that out.
Well, that's one, but two, as parents, our responsibility is teaching our children how to pretty much decipher their experiences.
Yeah.
And so when you put in the time to from like what you say, as it trickles down, it seems like the more kids we have, the more cultured our kids become.
Yeah.
And
Because you have
so
the time. You got the time. You have the time. As you said.
But then whose fault is it that our oldest ones aren't? And that's not. And so they may have the issue with it because
No, and needless to say that they're not.
No.
They just learn later on.
Well,
later than the younger ones.
But still, it becomes a harder path for them, and it's whose fault is that? It's not
I don't
their
think
fault.
so. I think with struggle, it actually makes you know how to maneuver quicker.
Some people.
Yeah.
Some
I think
people are
my
benefiting
7-year-old
more.
is going to have more struggles trying to figure out how to go through struggles, whereas
Right.
my 19-year-old is going to know how to maneuver
Right.
quicker because she went through the struggle.
They can
with me.
bounce back.
I
quicker.
hear it's bouncing.
But even with that, there's all right. So, what's it? Omi, from the radio. Omi.
Georgia?
Odie.
Odie.
Odie's super young. She's like 21, right? And she's a grinder. You know what I'm saying? But if you would talk to her, she would tell you she had a great life. Her parents raised her, and she had everything. She probably speaks multiple languages and all that. I still don't think that stops her. For some fact is now she has multiple tools to where now it's harder. It's easier for her to take rejection because she can redirect. You know what I'm saying? She always have a redirection. The less skills you have, the harder it is for rejection because you only have so many options. And so I do feel like it doesn't get greater later for that one that may have, but it does with more resentment because they see that the investment into them wasn't as great as the investment into others, and that is not their fault.
And yes, no, I do agree with that. I feel like as parents, it's It also comes with conversation if we're close enough. I was just like, so I look at this Benzino and the little girl. What her name? How you say
Little girl.
Listen,
girl.
I look at this and I'm like, take it off the internet because of that. Because like you said, my situation was different, and so you're so young, you're not even taking into consideration everything that surrounded that. So now we have to be able to have a heart to heart to where I can explain, my nigga, this is what happened. You know what I'm saying? And so keep it off the internet, so now y'all can have that conversation and be like, things change. So my dad will tell you. So no, the younger two, I ain't gonna say their names. The younger two's had it, but my dad is old enough to understand, and he's been able to talk to their parents and understand. I mean, Avery just had to come. My cousin just had a baby, and she got the blankets personalized and had all this stuff that the first three didn't have. But we literally just had this conversation. She's like, "No, we're just in a different situation now. I'm married now. I was a single mom. It's just different." And so Avery, because she was there with the other ones, had asked, and that's when I had that conversation with her. I was like, "Please believe." The new one, if I do get pregnant again, is going to be a lot different than what you remember. But me and my kid are close enough to where now we can have that conversation, and her being old enough to understand it. So no, I agree. So now whose fault is that? Come on, Mom, I need you to talk to your kid.
And
because she's
but
now
I also
she's on
think
the
it's
internet making all of y'all look stupid.
Exactly.
When y'all can literally just have the conversation. Nah, I lost the magazines.
And
That's
I'm
true, but I also stuff I now had to pay.
I'm gonna say something really weird is where, and I think that comes back to what Marv said about bitter baby moms.
And that too. No, yes, that too. Absolutely.
And I think
I agree with that part.
But I also think it's
100%.
perspective. Like, who would think that, say, for instance, my 19-year-old wasn't taken care of better than my 7-year-old. Like, I would think that
she was at the time.
So I think it's a difference in
I think
opinion. You know what I mean? Not
true,
perspective, right?
I think that, and let me not take away from the moms that.
Oh yeah,
because
good
I
moms
think
are
there's
good
a
moms.
lot of struggle
Right,
that
but that's
goes
what I'm saying.
on.
Who's to say?
Well, I think there's a lot of struggle that goes into being a young mother.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of time that has to be invested elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that from the perspective of the child, and I think we don't look at it from that point very
Absolutely.
much. And I think from the perspective of a child, when you look at it, because I was able to like you know, in my situation, my son's sister they started to become like on this same trajectory when it came development, but she was a couple years older than him, and we're just like, you know, what it is. And I started to look back at everything, and I was just like, it's because nobody took time.
Right.
You know, we didn't take the time. I was working all the time.
Yeah.
She wasn't, but she was a young mother. She had postpartum.
Right.
She was going through it. No, she was going through it in her own mental capacity, and so it was a struggle for everybody. We did what we could.
I think
That's weird though. I have
And
more
that's
time now, but my youngest doesn't have like a baby box and all these things, but my older ones.
I think, but situation.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
myself,
it's
just a
Because
perspective.
when-
I
And
think.
that's what I'm saying. This is when, like you said, you have the conversation, and this is when you go get a therapist and work that out.
Because she
Yeah.
might feel the way.
Especially when you can afford it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because listen,
But
I'm sorry.
But
but here's the
older, we
thing.
can afford it. 'Cause
Exactly.
Come on,
But what I'm
insurance.
saying is,
We didn't have
because-
that 12 years ago, but we
because
got
here's
it
the
now,
thing.
baby.
and they tell you this
Therapy
all
is
the
for
time.
everybody.
Right.
Sometimes parents do the best that they can with what they have.
when
Yeah.
They got it right.
And that is when you tell your kids, I did the best with what I had.
Because some kids
And
are
that-
usually the first kid is usually the mom's backpack.
Yeah, pretty
It's
much.
usually the one that they're
They're
going through the struggles with
So-
that kid. The second kid is usually the one that can notice a little bit more
Yep.
and can adapt.
And
Yep.
And adapt.
See, and I was listening to church this morning, and Pastor Michael Todd said, "This is the problem with parents.
Yep.
Is we don't tell our children how it is. We give them these cookie
True
cutter
story.
Exactly.
stories
Not me.
and all this type of stuff.
I
We
tell
don't
my
tell
kids
them
what it is.
I mean, like if you was out there and you was doing drugs and all that, like that's your truth.
Yep.
Right.
That's reality. Who would you rather your kids learn that from? The streets?
Exactly. Or,
Right.
or you
If people figure out who
personally, yep.
your mama who?
No.
Oh, I remember when she was doing that booger sugar. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I
And
remember your mama.
You had to go home and be
Said
like,
booger sugar.
"Mama, you was doing the booger sugar?" And you was like, "Well,
What
you
is
know,
booger sugar?
it was the 80s and everybody was doing it. You don't want to catch yourself in that situation.
Right.
You want to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Like one of my
Or
favorite
parents
comedians.
need to learn to apologize too.
Oh, that
And yes, because we don't do that
Amen to
enough to
that.
parents. We say it's because I said so instead of
And
saying
that's
that,
why
I
the
wanna-
generation we're in don't want to take accountability
Nobody
because
knows
their
how to
parents
apologize.
D-Ray,
don't know how to
I
apologize
used
for
to love
shit.
D-Ray. He used to do a comedy when he do his
Yep.
comedy show, and when he would come out, he would say something that was like completely real about his family, and he would say, "I'm gonna say it now, so when you see it in People Magazine or whatever, you can't say nothing because I already told you." You feel me?
Exactly.
So he's like, "My mama
Yeah.
smoked crack. You can't say nothing.
You can't
I already
use it.
told you."
You can't
You know
use
what
it
I'm saying?
against
Like,
me.
and
Yeah.
so we don't do that enough. We try to say,
Right.
well, I struggled and it was tough times. No, you had
what,
bad.
though?
No, you were selling. You know, you had OnlyFans, whatever. Like it is what it is.
hilarious.
Like a lot of moms gonna have to explain OnlyFans.
Yep.
Like and,
Yep.
and no, and
Yep.
you got to know, but you got to be real about it.
Yep.
You be like, hey,
Yeah.
guess
But you
what?
should be real about
It became-
everything. I don't even think
Well,
it's
I-
just
well,
about
Just like
sex
Kim
and
K
drugs
gotta
and stuff, but
explain.
Well,
that.
she's
That's
got-
it.
That's
They
you
were-
have to
they
explain
were
sliding
talking-
DMs
they
and
were
all
talking
that
about
type of
that.
stuff. Like, let's be
They were
real.
talking about that because they're gonna, like, when they get older,
Yep.
there's a point where they're gonna be like,
They're gonna have to
"Mom,
talk about it.
who's
Yep.
who's Ray J?"
Yep.
And then you're gonna have to explain
He's an ex.
Yep.
and then they have to explain the progression because
timeline
just
of it all.
recently it
Well-
came out that the mom
They planned it.
planned.
It
We
was
all
planned.
knew that.
We
We
No.
knew
What
it.
I'm saying is
Wait a
we
second,
knew that,
Yeah.
but they were
Princess Love?
No,
Huh?
Chris.
Kris
had planned
Jenner.
no Chris
the-
Jenner.
Who we talking
No,
about?
no, say no.
Okay, I
Kris
thought you said
Jenner
Ray
is the reason why that sex tape came out.
Yep.
Kris Jenner is the reason why there's a Caitlyn Jenner.
Yep.
Kris Jenner is.
She's the problem. She's the
But
devil.
No.
She's the problem.
No, but
You think
what-
you think
but what-
this is a game?
No, but what I'm saying is
I
that
guarantee you.
she's their kid. They're gonna have to
She's the
explain.
The mastermind. Yeah,
She's
the
the
mastermind.
no, she's the
behind
mastermind
it.
for
Yep.
sure. That's why I said I put up a post that was just like, who's the worst, her or Joe? And or Joe Jackson, and I'm like,
At least we knew Joe Jackson beat the kid.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
We don't-
Kris Jenner, Kris Jenner's been doing this since the '80s.
She's still
Forever.
doing
She's
it.
been doing it since
She's
the
still doing it.
She's been doing it since.
Because don't think
She's
that daddy
still
wasn't
doing
a
it.
puppet either.
Yeah.
still
You feel
doing
me?
it.
While
She's
she
still
was
doing
banging
it.
OJ,
To
making Chloe.
millions of
Father was
dollars.
sacrificed for playing.
Really?
Dad was a sacrifice. She moved all the pieces. It is what
I
it
didn't
is.
Joe-
even think about that concept.
Joe-
No, I'm gonna tell you right now. So if you think
Wait,
about
how
it,
we get? How we?
No,
come-
I'm
Yeah,
gonna-
we're way off topic.
parents and their kids.
That's true. That's true.
Hold on. So check this out. If you think about it, right, Bruce Jenner, right, he getting ready to go on trial for manslaughter.
Is he?
Oh, he
Okay.
was about to.
Right.
Hit and
Oh,
run.
that's
That's
right.
right,
He
right,
did.
right,
He
right,
did. Yes,
okay.
that's
I'm
true.
with you,
That's true.
I
That's
guarantee
true.
you, Chris came to him and said, "You know what, Bruce? You know how you could beat this? Become a woman."
Yep.
And he said,
And he said, "You know
you're
what?
right.
No,
No.
he transitioned after.
After that.
It just
No,
wasn't
it's
public.
during.
It
No,
just
it
wasn't public. It
but
was during. It was during.
But it was
Yeah,
during.
yeah.
It was during.
It just wasn't. It
It
wasn't
was
public
during.
enough. So
It came up.
it came up.
It came up during the process of it.
Yeah.
He transitioned. He went from Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner.
Jenner.
And
Right.
guess what? Nobody talked about it. They swept it under the rug. It came out afterwards because people was like, hold on. Whatever
What happened to the
Exactly.
kids?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You feel me?
right.
You just walk away. He's like, well, I'm not Bruce Jenner no more. I'm Caitlyn Jenner. Bruce Jenner did that.
my
You feel
problem.
me?
Wait, and then he got,
So-
what was Sports Woman of the Year?
No,
No,
he got
woman. No,
woman of the year, not
woman
sports
of the
woman of the
year.
year.
No,
He
woman of
beat
the
out
year.
all you
Yes.
hoes. I'm gonna say beat out all you hoes.
Wait,
All y'all, hold on. All y'all,
hilarious.
hold on.
He said
Hold
he
on,
beat out all
I
you
had
hoes.
that. Because all y'all was
can't
born
do-
as women. And guess what? In a year, he beat out every single one of y'all.
He's not even a
Don't
cute
tell him.
woman. Out of
No,
all
he's
of the
not.
trans women,
He
okay,
could-
and I'm about to sound real bad.
Oh, we
Yep.
about to go
Because
to
of
another
you.
topic before y'all get us in trouble.
RuPaul couldn't even get woman of the year. He beat her out.
No, we got
Beat her
one more.
out.
We got one more topic.
But
we won't be long.
RuPaul
He
might
said
not,
we ain't gonna
might
talk
not-
about all that.
RuPaul
Right.
is a
I'm
drag queen.
saying-
He not trying to be
True.
a woman.
Yeah, it's different.
You
Yeah.
still-
Cindy
yeah.
Starr could at least beat him out. She erased Chingy from the
That's
map.
all I'm
I
saying.
mean, she could at least.
That's all
got
I'm
one.
saying.
We about to go to the last topic,
Should at least
which
be-
is
She's a rapper kryptonite. That's what happened with Cindy Starr.
Young Thug. Is it Young Thug, Gunna, a couple other people from the YSL.
You sent
So I'm about to sound really old. I don't know who none of these niggas are.
Wait.
I had to go find the story.
YSL.
You know
We
who
talking
Young Thug
about
is, that's it.
Yves
I
Saint
might know a
Laurent.
song. I don't
No,
know
that's
who
what
he
their
is, to be
that's
honest.
what their like. That's
I
what
don't-
their rap
You
group
dap-
is
you-
called.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Pause.
I don't
So
know
yes.
one of them.
YSL.
But they were charged with. They got arrested and charged with
Wait,
a RICO
Don't judge me.
case. So there's
Actually,
like 20
he's
plus
looking at
people
me like he's judging
in a
me.
RICO case In a RICO case,
What is over? I'm lost.
RICO case basically is you can, if you know who's all connected.
Yeah, everybody going down.
You charge
It's
one,
racketeering.
you would charge.
Yeah, it's racketeering.
Yeah,
it's
you
like
could-
was
you
it
could-
like gambling, money, that kind of
It's
thing.
all it's all
But
types.
yeah,
it's
if
pretty much all facets of organized crime.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, you know what I'm
organized
saying?
crime. That's what it is.
and
Okay.
they got charged and stuff. And one of the questions I wanted to ask was,
It's like racketeering.
do we hold these guys responsible? What the feds are going after them hard.
Mm-hmm.
Do we say anything to they're adults,
Yes,
Mhm.
but
I think.
the record labels they are on
Mm-hmm.
are okay with whatever they talk about because some of their lyrics are being used in court.
So
Will and are going to keep being used in court, and that's what's been keeping them from getting bailed. Is their lyrics?
So here's my.
Do we hold the record labels responsible because they're the ones putting up the money?
So
Do we
here's the
hold
thing
First 48
about the.
responsible when Junebug snitch on
Listen,
JoJo?
that's hilarious.
Because I'm just saying, like, we see that every day.
That's
You
true.
feel me?
That's
We
true.
see it every people.
Junebug
People
snitch
got
on JoJo.
alarms set for First 48.
Yep.
It's people who watch the marathon. I mean, so who like if they telling themselves,
I
people
just
get
feel-
on trouble on DJ Vlad all the time. Like,
Right.
telling yourself, you're telling yourself.
I don't think that the the production of company, you guys are just writing lyrics, and I can say, funny story. So my boyfriend raps, him and his homeboy they rap, and
Who?
so my boyfriend raps.
What's his name? Who is he?
So I
That's
didn't tell you my uncle's name. So there has been a couple lyrics in the song, and so every time. Yeah, I mean I can. And so they rap, and so he had dropped a lyric or something, and Avery looked at me. And then the one time she laughed, I was like, "Well, why are you laughing?" Because she was like, "Hold on, ain't that you?" Whoa, pause. And so there have been other times where he'd say something, and she was like, he had said something, and she looked at me. I was like, "I don't do that." And so because they're literally just lyrics, you know what I'm saying? Because it rhymed.
But are they? Because
Depends
no,
on
no,
the
no,
one.
no. Because to you,
so-
you know him. They're just
They're
lyrics.
just
But
lyrics.
to
And
everybody else that's digesting them, they're not.
I can't, but here's the thing. So I just say that because like I said, with production, I don't know if these lyrics are real or not. Y'all just put it on the paper. I just hit the buttons and make it go. We push play. We push the music. And so I don't think the production company should be held responsible for that because, like I said, y'all wrote the song.
You're the
I
artist.
just put
They're
it
the
out.
artist.
They should be held responsible
But
because
aren't
it's
they
their,
putting
it's,
up? Yeah,
it's
aren't
their
they?
narrative.
They're putting
that
up
they're
millions
pushing.
of dollars.
I don't know if
though.
this is
No,
real.
it's their narrative.
You
it's their
told me
narrative.
it was. If you told me that they were just lyrics
is
and
your
that you
art.
wasn't doing it, and this is your art. If you
No.
told me this is your
They
art,
have plausible deniability.
No,
and I'm just
all
like,
right.
this
So
is your art. I
I'm
don't
gonna tell
have
you
to believe
I'm
it.
gonna tell you right now. If you are investing millions of dollars into an artist, you know everything about them. No, I'm gonna tell you right now. You do.
The less
You
I know,
know,
the less I gotta lie
no,
about.
for real.
And if you
True.
don't,
No.
you're a bad
No,
investor.
no,
I'm pretty
Because
sure
that's
they
an
do.
investment.
No,
I'm pretty sure that you know.
Time out.
But they can say they
out.
didn't,
All
so I'm
these,
saying.
all these entertainment companies.
Yeah.
I'm talking about from football to basketball,
Yep, you're right.
music, all that. When
They
they're
know.
investing their money,
They
they
know.
know everything that you
Yes.
did.
10 years
We
ago.
may not know.
You would have to
They
prove that
know-
you knew that though.
No, they
That's
know
true.
when you shoplifted. They know when you shoplifted the candy bar. They know when you jaywalked. They
But
know
you
when
would
you
have
got
to
put over
prove
DUI.
but you would have to prove that the production agency knew that though, because
Exactly.
all I've said, he told me it was just lyrics.
Yep.
No,
All right,
no,
now I'm off the hook.
No, that's not what I'm trying to tell you.
I-
So what I'm saying is when they shop for talent,
Mm.
they're shopping for these people.
I agree.
Okay.
They're not shopping for somebody that they didn't know that they was into this. They're
I know.
getting you because they know that you're involved in this because that's what sells. They already
Absolutely.
understood that. There's a famous
That's why labels don't fire artists when they get arrested.
Yeah,
That's
They're
true.
just like, oh, another album?
Oh,
So
no.
Hold
Catch
on.
me in 10.
There's this famous undercover meeting that they talk about that happened in the music industry, and if you think about it, around in the transition from the 80s into the
Was
90s,
it it was the 90s. yeah.
music changed, you know. And if you look at hip hop, I mean, the first hip hop song that became big was talking about eating chicken at your homeboy's house, and that tastes like wood.
Yeah.
And now, we just, hip hop has gotten so diluted that you could talk about drugs and money and
Sex
all
and
that,
big booty hoes
and that
and
could
all
be in
that.
that category. And so what people don't understand is the same people who run these music industries have stakes in prisons.
Yep.
They have stakes in all that.
Yep.
So when you look at hip hop isn't what you think it is. It's an advertisement. It's an advertisement for a lifestyle that's a pipeline into prison.
That's true.
And so yes, that's why Bobby Smurda is famous, and that's why we've waited till he's gotten out. You
Yep.
know, and you know what? Let me tell you something. If Bobby Smurda would have got out and he was still on drugs and he was doing all that, he would get a lot more coverage. But because he doesn't drink, and he doesn't do all
Instagram
that,
driving.
you don't
Nothing
get that
anymore,
much coverage.
yep.
You know, and so
He be
that's
on
what
Instagram
they
dancing.
say.
Because
you know,
he's not doing the bad boy thing anymore.
Now look at 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine goes in. He tells on himself.
Snitch.
I've lived this life.
Yep.
I've done all this.
Right.
These people help me influence. He gets out. When he gets out, not only does he not reinforce that, he glorifies being the snitch and going back to
got a
living the life that
10
he was living before.
He got his $10 million deal
He did.
for a $10 million album deal, two albums, and it could have been the same
So
album
now,
just
guess what?
translated.
Listen, and I'll let this go. Little caveat into that. Why is he being empowered? Because now it's telling you can go on there, you can go out there and commit crime.
Yeah.
Not only that,
Okay.
you
You'll
get
get a
out
deal.
you'll get out of jail free card is by turning on organized crime.
Yep.
Because see, if you can give me a plethora of them, I'll let you go free.
Right.
And
So
they-
now think
they
about
want-
how many people gonna be on Force 48.
and
Yeah.
they
The
wanted
uncut
the
version.
they wanted
Niggas
the
was snitching anyways.
and they wanted the access.
It's gonna be different now.
I
They
agree.
wanted the access he provided
Yes.
by getting popular.
That's
Yes.
true.
So they were like, "Hey, we get into rooms.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
more than
We get
it's
into
more than
rooms that-
transcripts because now it's not just on paper. We got you guys on video.
Yep.
He has a video of him actually putting a hit out on somebody, and now he's walking the streets while somebody else who was getting ready to put that hit out is behind bars.
And
I understand all of that. I'm just saying the burden of proof. And so, yes, I agree. I all of that.
But when it comes, but
now
when
it
it comes
takes
to
the-
proving it in court, it's going to be a different
And
thing.
that's what
We're
I-
not
and that's
saying they
all I'm
shouldn't be
saying.
blamed when it comes to proving it in
That's
court. That's a
Because now,
different
because
So
now
thing.
the
now-
With
production
video,
company-
you can.
Well,
very
right,
much,
but that's
yeah,
yes.
that's
But now we have to prove that because yes.
But
they
now
do
you're guilty
know.
by association. That's why they
But
indicted
now they
all
have
these
to.
people.
But now the production now
Or-
whoever's trying the case has to prove that the production agency knew. Because all they literally have to say is, "Well, why would I have known that?"
No,
he
I
said?
think-
Well,
I
there'll
no, I
be
think it's
some
more of a-
connection
I-
at some sort.
Possibly.
yeah, no, I think it's
but-
more of a it's more of a
it's
cultural
separate from-
question.
Right.
Like separate from the actual case.
Okay.
Like it's more of a step back and look. Like, should we be also holding these? Like, should we as a society be holding these record labels partly responsible for the product that their artists
But
No.
we've
put
been
out?
talking about
We-
that
we-
same thing for years about
yeah.
what they put out, what people put
That's-
out.
No, we
We've been
should be
talking about
holding
it.
the artists accountable.
I was just gonna
for
say
what
that.
they put
I don't
out.
think them, but
because
the
see,
artists.
the thing
yes.
But
is
the
that
artists
the
for
record
sure.
labels is gonna put out whatever
And
makes them
exactly.
And
That's
money.
all.
That's
And
all
that's
it
all
is
I'm
about
saying.
money.
That's all. Yes, that's all I'm saying. Is that
But
we have
here-
to hold the
but
artist
here's the
responsible
thing.
because
The
the production company's going to do what they're
Is
going to
it-
do.
But
Everything
the
was in
production
the
company will
artist's
only put
hands.
out what people want to
Is
hear
it
so
us?
they
Right.
can
Yeah,
make
That's
money.
what I was saying
is
about
And
it
then
that.
it's
us?
a consumer
That's what I was
issue
saying
too.
about the legacy thing.
Is it
It's all good.
Is it us asking corporations to be
gonna do what they
to
gonna
be
do.
moral?
They're just
Is it
gonna do
us
what
they
asking
gonna do.
corporations to be moral? Is that
Right. Yeah.
No.
or is
Yes.
it asking consumers to?
It's asking the consumers to be
consumer,
moral.
and
Okay.
that's
Right.
it.
So
And that's the
because
one.
because the thing is when you're chasing the dollar like a corporation
Supply and
is, how
demand.
can we actually be moral?
True.
Because you're chasing whatever the dollar,
Bottom line.
whatever profits whatever profits,
Right.
right? Whatever produces the dollar, you're after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
But
yeah.
there's some corporations who act moral and they won't do those things.
Yeah.
Well,
They will
yeah.
not put those things
And
out.
guess what? There's a cap on how much money they do make.
But what I'm saying is they don't mind that.
Yeah, and
because that's not what they're what I'm
No,
saying.
of course, that's not what
Yeah,
they're in it for.
Right.
And so but these big corporations, that's what they're in it for.
That's
Because
true.
that's why it's all connected. That's why music's connected to prisons and all
Yeah.
that. Because it's a way how they can always, like I said, legacy, how they stay in power. You know what I'm saying? The dude who runs General Electric also is in music, is also in privatized prison.
Right.
And so what? Guess what? His legacy, no matter who his kids are, is always going to be intact. It's always going to be in the family. You look at football. You look at some of these owners of these teams. It ain't just these new people popping up.
Nope.
Legacy. Guess what? Somebody dies. Who takes over? Their
kids.
children.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm trying to. The two and two can go on to each other. The record labels do the same thing because this is how they control their legacy of the record label. The biggest ones, there's probably like four majors that's been around forever, and they've been around because the plan has stayed the same. You know, they pump toxicity. We buy toxicity because drama, sex, drugs, all that sells, and so we pay for it because we get to live vicariously through these artists, not understanding that what we're doing is not only living vicariously through it. I used to tell people all the time, if you're riding in the car with your kids and you're playing I Got That Krizak by 2 Chainz and you knocking your head, you telling your kid that that's okay to live that lifestyle regardless of if you believe it wholeheartedly or not. Right. And so that's what space we've gotten in to where now a Young Thug is relevant because or Bobby Smurda is relevant. And the difference of it is some people are going to go to prison, and I wouldn't even doubt that Young Thug be the one. What they're doing is they indicted so many people that they're going to start to press all the way up to the top. That's what they did.
All of them don't have a lot of money.
But that's what they did with BMF. And so Big Meech and all them are in prison because what they started to do is they started to pinch everybody else underneath them and say, guess what? Give me info. Give me info. Give me info. Got wiretaps and all that. And the people at the bottom, they got lesser charges. You know? And the people at the top, they got bigger charges.
The middlemen and the lower ones can't stay in jail. They don't have money like that. They can't afford a lawyer.
No. So they plea deals.
They will snitch.
Plea bargains.
And they gonna talk.
I'm telling.
They're gonna talk.
You give me a good deal, I'll tell.
You know, honestly, the thing about it is, I like you were talking about, you know, playing this type of music in your car with your kids and stuff like that.
Guilty.
Growing up, there was only certain type of music that was played in our household. Rap was not one of them. I mean, I brought home, not me, my brother brought home an NWA once, and my father hit the roof. He would like, get that out of my house. So, you know, like you said, if you're fostering that and you're making that the standard, then of course your kids are gonna want to do those types of things.
I think education has to come with it.
I was gonna say, I think we said that another week. When I remember I was talking about.
We talked about this before.
Right.
It just depends on whether or not you're educating your kids on it.
Right.
And it's not all hip hop, and it doesn't have to be, you know, played around your children if you don't want it to.
Oh yeah.
No, but if
I'm
you do,
I'm not saying it's like all hip hop. I'm just saying
it's
I point out NWA because the lyrics of that's
it's not all hip hop, but it's the majority of it that's commercialized. The majority of the part that's commercialized is the toxicity of it. The conscious rappers aren't getting spins.
Right. No,
like
but what I'm saying is when
true.
I said, and that's why I said specifically NWA because of how the stuff that was being played.
But you also related it to a situation. But
right.
That's the one that went to the roof
he went to the roof about. But all the all the conscious, those things were fine. But when they were talking about the bitches and it was because he was like, this is not how I want y'all to talk.
And can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Your dad came here from somewhere else, right?
Caribbean, yeah.
And so he might have had a picture painted of a certain perception already to where it was like he didn't even know how to educate on the past what he already saw. So it was like, we just don't do it. Because in my house, my parents, my dad was from West Oakland, the Acorns. My mom was from East Oakland. So when we heard the music, it was like, hey, check this out. Like, in reality, my dad grew up with MC Hammer. I mean, they used to rap with MC Hammer. And so, like they've seen so much of that part of that lifestyle to where they could be like, you know what, check this out. That the car that he driving that video ain't his. He rented it. That they wearing cubic zirconian and that, and all that. Right. And there's only a part of this that's so they stretch the truth for entertainment value.
Right. Yeah.
So when I hear music, and sometimes even myself, I get caught up in, because I do believe that music has a deeper spiritual connection with the body beyond the lyrics. And so people, I think sometimes
vibrations and frequencies.
Yes, and so I think sometimes the lyrics are the residuals of it, because sometimes you may not even like a song, but because your body has vibed with it so long, it becomes something that even though it's annoying, you learn the lyrics to it.
That's true.
But and like you said it all goes back to now teaching. Your parents did that because I remember growing up, the Friday soundtrack. My mom wouldn't play it. She would purposely take it out, and we would listen to the radio because we were young, and she didn't want us listening to that stuff. I think I just had a conversation about some movies that I wasn't allowed to watch because my parents don't want us watching that stuff. So I'm now getting caught up with all the black classics because my parents didn't let us watch it. And so, but there's no music off limits in my car. If I want to listen to it, Avery is now subject to having to listen to it. Old school, new school. But it really is, like I said, now a teaching thing. Now we're able to talk about this is what that lyric means. This is what a mop is. This is why we don't have those. This is now how we're able to talk
she's smarter too because
but we've cultivated
because like you said earlier when she listened to music when she listened to music
embarrassing moments
but
she calls me out on some of that stuff.
But the beautiful side of it is that she just doesn't take it and run with it. She looks to you and be like, so I need confirmation. I need confirmation from mom because you've already explained to me what music is. So I need confirmation from you. How real is this? Because in reality, because it's not. I'm not just gonna take because I just heard it here. I'm not gonna take it for it's a full truth because I heard it here. So now I have to go to a source and say, hey, how real is this? And that shows a maturation.
That's hilarious that she was just like,
music is so like you said, music is very, very powerful.
Yes,
like you said, it's impactful. Right. Because listen, so I was not a Tupac fan. However,
Caribbean,
yes, but
that music
I wasn't because we have a difference that we got reggae and all that, which is a whole different type of thing.
But that's where the spiritual music came from.
But
though. Like that's like
I remember once we were driving to Portland and Tupac came on, and we were just chill, and then all of a sudden we were like,
because
I'm out to roll home on some Tupac now.
I'm like, where did
I'm
that
about to go.
come from?
I give you even better. I give you even better.
I'm like, where did that come? The energy was like, listen, if something was popping off, we was about to fight. At that point,
you're like, turn it off, mom. Turn it off, mom. We about to have problems.
I can give you one better. I can give you one better. I was probably like 12 years old, right? Growing up, my dad always listened to Temptations, OJ, Al Green, Teddy P.
With my dad.
He was a big funk person, so George Clinton, he did that too, right? And so that was always, and I hated it. I'm not gonna lie, because I was, by the time I was 12, they put us in the music. I'm listening to E40 and the Click. He's listening to George. You just listen to George Clinton, whatever. But we knew that my dad was the same way. In my car, I'm listening to our music, right? So boom. So we're driving on the freeway. And so this guy cuts off my dad, and my dad, like honk, let him know, he come off. And the dude flipped my dad off, right? And I said, you listen to all this music. And one time I ever seen him do it. And he like reached under his seat, right? And he takes his tape out and he pops it in a deck and he reaches under and he grabs a beanie and he puts it on. And the tape that he popped on the deck was Tupac Ride on My Enemies. And I'm like, hold up. No, me and my brother. Me and my brother in the back seat like, hold up, what's going on, right? And he follows this man. I'm talking about this man gets off on an exit. And this is not our exit. My dad gets off on the exit and he's following this man. He follows him all the way into a dead end. And this dude is in like a pickup truck, so you can see him through the back window and he's freaking out. And my dad laughs and then he pops eject on the tape. And he puts it back under the seat, and he takes his beanie off, puts it back under, and just reverse and turn around and drive off. And that was the first time I was like, "This nigga's crazy." But
not only that, by the way, could you imagine getting that on video though too?
Oh my God! Hey, if we live in that cell phone area, oh my God!
We're like, this is the moment.
Oh my God!
That's
I'd have had a TikTok for that. I'd have had a TikTok.
Because I'd have been sitting there like, I'm still me. I'm still in the car. Why would you do this?
But we can get out of here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Black Pew Podcast. We'll delete that last part because it might be a part of an investigation.
My dad is somewhere in Jamaica right now.
Out there for the Buffalo families that lost their families.
That was his escape route.
Let's make sure to say
there was no weapons involved
for the families.
Blackness.
Did you just hear you talking about weapons? We're talking about keep the families in Buffalo in your prayers.
Yes, right. The families of the Buffalo people who died in their prayers. Also,
I put y'all
also
up on
the
California.
Also in California.
And I think it's and the NBA
and the
game.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, in Milwaukee.
But make sure you like, share, subscribe on the channel and the videos.
Don't be scared to be black.
Don't.
There you go. Nope.
No, for real, because
Watch
this stuff will
out.
make you scared to be black.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
No, don't be scared to be black. This stuff will
Predominantly
make you
black
scared to be
areas,
black.
yeah. So,
Yep.
Don't be, just be prepared.
Yep.
but we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Bye.
Deuce.